For pure performance, he is among the very best. But there's more. The mystique, the aura that surrounds the flamethrower. Those memorable few who don't just get batters out, they blow them away, intimidating the opposition, electrifying the crowd. When a pitcher has the ability not just to retire the side, but to stir the imagination, that is when excellence becomes legend. To be good is one thing. To be strikingly distinctive is another. Triple digits on the radar gun. Blistering pitches delivered from a previously unseen angle. For no one taller has ever played the game. A look which, coupled with being left-handed, suggests a wild side. The Cleveland Indians are back home now, and most say they are the best team in baseball. But Randy Johnson is what they're up against tonight. Game 3 is next. Perfect night for baseball in Cleveland. 73 degrees as game time approaches. This is Jacobs Field, a glittering jewel in the middle of a revitalized downtown Cleveland and a baseball paradise all season long. In the course of compiling the best percentage in the last 4 decades in baseball, 100 wins and just 44 losses during the regular season, the Indians were 54-18 in this ballpark. Hi again, everybody. Bob Costas with Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker. Now, I kid you not, these are real statistics. This man hit around 400 lifetime against Sandy Koufax, including a home run. So who better to analyze great left-handers than Mr. Baseball? Where does Randy Johnson rank?
Well, Randy Johnson ranks up with the best, Bob. You're talking about the Sandy Koufaxes, guys like Steve Carlton, Vida Blue. He's a very, very hard thrower. And I think the thing that's made Randy Johnson the pitcher that he is today is the fact that he's cut his walk ratio. He's only walking 2+ per 9 innings. And I mean, the 100-mile-per-hour fastball, along with a 90+ mile-an-hour slider, is something to behold.
And if he gets that slider over early in the count, you can just about forget about it. Big league hitters, at least many of them, can turn that dial up a little bit and time even the best fastball. But if they've got to look slider as well, they're cooked.
Well, I think you have to look for one or the other against this guy. If he's got them both going, he's like a Koufax. You couldn't hit 2 pitches off of Sandy when he had his stuff. If this guy's got them both going, you got to look for one.
Now, on the other side, right-hander Charles Nagy, who's had a good year. He won 16 during the regular season, 2 of them against the Mariners, both here in Cleveland, and he wrapped up the division series as they swept the Red Sox 3 straight by winning Game 3 at Fenway Park. His hope is to keep them close.
Well, he throws a lot of breaking balls. That's his strong suit. He doesn't have a big, powerful fastball, good breaking stuff, and if he can't get the breaking ball over early, Bob, he gets in trouble in the opening inning.
We're back with the starting lineups after we check with Hannah Storm.
Everybody, I'm Hannah Storm. Welcome to Game 3 of the League Championship Series. While you watch the American League Cy Young favorite Randy Johnson face the Indians, the Atlanta Braves send the National League Cy Young lock Greg Maddux against Cincinnati. The Braves lead the series 2-0, and they turn to Maddux, who blew through the regular season, posting a 19-2 record with a 1.63 ERA. However, one of those losses, his worst of the season, was against the Reds. Maddox's regular season dominance has not translated to postseason success. He has won only 2 of his 6 career postseason starts, and his ERA is a major league high 6.62. Maddux faces the struggling Reds, whose offensive woes are highlighted by Reggie Sanders, a strikeout victim in 10 of his last 14 at-bats. Cincinnati has stranded no less than 15 runners in 2 games, and the Reds have hit into 5 double plays. We'll keep you updated on all the action from Atlanta and get you out to the first pitch at the Jake after this from your local station.
Field, and here's tonight's Budweiser Mariners starting lineup. They have only 4 players on their roster for this series who have postseason experience. Charlton and Belcher among the pitchers, and the top 2 guys in this lineup, Coleman with the Cardinals and Cora a couple of years ago with the White Sox. Of course, the lack of playoff competition hasn't hurt Griffey with 6 homers already between the division series and the first 2 games of this one. Edgar Martinez went wild against the Yankees, but he and Tino Martinez are hitless in the first 2 games against Cleveland. That's the lineup Charles Nagy will face. 16-6 for the year. ERA 4.55. Came within one of his personal high in victories. He won 17 in 92. Pitched 7 innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 run in the clinching victory against the Red Sox, Game 3 at Fenway Park, as they swept the division series. Vince Coleman steps in against him. 285 for the year. 1 for 8 with 5 strikeouts in this series. The plate umpire, Rick Reed, is obviously waiting for us. He doesn't know we're back. We appreciate the consideration, though. Dale Ford is the first base umpire. Tim McClelland at second. Drew Coble at third. The crew chief, Dave Phillips, who had the plate in Game 1 down the left field line tonight. And Darrell Cousins in right.
Bob, the reason we're delayed here a little bit, and they finally turned it off. A couple of booths down from our NBC broadcast booth, there was a couple of television lights that were still lit up, and everything is full now, and we're set to go.
And Nagy's first pitch to the switch hitter. Swung on and hit foul wide of third. Espinosa for a look, and it's out of play. There are 2 changes for the Cleveland Indians on their infield. This is the first time in either of the 2 series they've played that they've faced a left-handed starting pitcher. So they've gone to the platoon. As we look at them defensively, Lofton 2 Gold Gloves. Vizquel, probably the best in the game with the glove, will win a 3rd Gold Glove this year. And on the corners, Espinosa and Perry are new. Here's a ground ball to short. Vizquel gets rid of it quickly, knowing Coleman is running. 1 down in the Seattle first. The left-handed hitters, Tomey, who would normally start at third, and Sorrento at first, are benched against Randy Johnson. Left-handers hit 129 against Johnson this year. So Kenny Lofton is the only left-handed batter in the Cleveland order. They go with Espinosa at third, and the rookie Herbert Perry at first. Each is a right-handed batter. Joey Cora is 2 for 7 in this series, and turned in a huge defensive play in the first inning of Game 1 when Tomey ripped one toward the middle with the bases loaded and 2 out in the first, and he made a great diving play to bail Bob Walcott out of the inning. And he's hit by the pitch. So Cora, who stole 18, heads down to first.
And for the second time in the series, Joey Cora hit by a pitch. This one got him up around the backside just above. Here it is again. That was a fastball from Nagy that nailed Cora. Hershiser nailed him a couple of days ago in the knee. And for a moment, as Cora was laying on the ground, it looked like he was hurt a little bit more than everybody thought. He's all right now. I know he's smiling, but they don't feel good. I don't care where they hit you.
4 for 7 in this series. 5 homers against the Yankees in the preceding series. And the pitch to Junior. Sliced foul. He's already within 1 homer of the postseason record. Now with the extra round, these comparisons are going to become difficult, but considering the fact that he's done it in only 7 games.
Well, he should make it for sure.
Dykstra in 93 between the LCS and the World Series for the Phillies. Bob Robertson in 71 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Well, there's what we talked about with Charles Nagy at the opening, Bob. And he's had problems in the opening inning. His earned run average in his starts in inning number 1 is 5+. And that's the pitch that he's got to throw for strikes or down low and inside to the guys like Griffey to get him the chase, that breaking ball.
How into the game are the fans at Jacobs Field? They're mimicking what they do at the Kingdome.
It doesn't sound the same.
Roaring with 2 strikes on the hitter in anticipation.
Oh, boy, it's great here.
But this isn't just any hitter.
I'll tell you, that series at the Kingdome, Bob, I mean, with the Yankees and the first 2 games against the Indians was unbelievable. I mean, as an ex-player to sit there and watch and to get us fired up.
A line drive into center field, and this one will drop for a hit. Nagy trying to hit the outside corner at the knees, and Griffey just went down and got it.
That was a breaking ball again, and it looked to be right over the middle, about knee-high, and Griffey with a nice, easy stroke lines this one into center field. Off-speed pitch, change of pace. That's what it was. Down. Griffey went down and got it. Lines a single to center.
Which brings us to Edgar Martinez, who never went more than 2 games all year without a hit, and never went more than 8 consecutive at-bats without a hit. He's 0 for 6 through the first 2 games of this series.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that, Bob. I mean, when you're talking about one of baseball's best hitters, of course, the American League's leading hitter this year, but when you talk about 2 games, the longest he had gone without a hit, 0 for 8. I mean, that's it. I mean, it tells you what kind of hitter this guy really is.
Nagy in first inning trouble. And a strike to Martinez, who hit .356 to win his 2nd batting title.
Al, in talking with Lou Piniella about Nagy before the game tonight, he said that the Mariner hitters have to try and take this guy to right field. You can't try to pull him because you'll beat that breaking ball and the low sinker in the dirt.
A ball and a strike. They've gone to the bottom of the first in Atlanta. Cincinnati out against Greg Maddux without scoring. David Wells draws the assignment for the Reds. 2 best pitchers in baseball going tonight in the playoffs. Maddux for the Braves, Randy Johnson, each the certain Cy Young Award winner. Randy Johnson here. They check down at first base. He didn't go.
There again is something off speed. You saw Dale Ford indicate that Martinez checked in time. Here it is one more time. A breaking ball again, and Martinez looked like he checked. But here's a guy that practices hitting to right field during batting practice daily. On a daily basis, his first maybe 8 to 10 swings always tries to go to right.
And he pops this one up back to second. Baerga retreating, Ramirez coming in. Baerga for the catch, 2 down. So Edgar Martinez, who had a couple of intentional walks up in Seattle, is now officially 0 for 7 in this series. Tino Martinez also looking for his first hit. When you look at the heart of the Seattle order, not only are they good, but they go with Griffey, the 2 Martinezes, and Buhner. Left, right, left, right. It makes it very tough on an opposing manager when he thinks about late inning pitching changes. But Mike Hargrove has perhaps the deepest bullpen in the league, and it affords him the luxury of bringing guys in for 1 hitter apiece.
You're right. You know, we talk so much about the Indians and their lineup and the power that they have. Tell you what, this Seattle club is not an easy club to work against either. They've got excellent power in Griffey, Martinez. We know about him. Tino Martinez, both the Martinezes. 29 and 31 home runs, respectively. As you look at Lou Piniella, we had a nice chat with him tonight, didn't we, Bob? He was loosey-goosey, and anything you want to know, he's ready for you all the time.
They wanted the 1 win in Seattle since they couldn't use Johnson. They got it unexpectedly in the game Walcott pitched. Hot on and missed, 1-1.
Well, that's what he talked about here. He said with Randy Johnson working this opening game, it gives the Seattle Mariners, if he wins. And again, to take nothing away from Charles Nagy, because he's working hard here to try and get out of the opening inning. See that grip on that curveball? There's an excellent curveball. I mean, really spinning and diving down. But Piniella wants to win to get it back to Seattle. And if they do it tonight behind Johnson, they're assured of going back to the Kingdom.
If they went back down 3-2, he'd pitch Johnson in Game 6. If somehow they could win 2 of 3 here and be ahead in the series, he'd hold him back for the 7th game. The 2-1 pitch to Tino Martinez. Count evens at 2-2. There were questions about this weekend's pitching selections. Mike Hargrove said officially tonight he will go with Ken Hill tomorrow, regardless of tonight's outcome against Andy Bennis. And Chris Bosio will pitch Game 5 for Seattle against Dennis Martinez. There's Hill, tomorrow's starter. Crowd again roaring on the 2-2 pitch. And now the runners will take off. Cora from second and Griffey from first.
Well, as they did in Seattle on every 2-strike offering, the fans at the Kingdom rose to their feet, and they're doing the same thing here at Jacobs Field. Boy, what a couple of great 2 days here, huh? Weather-wise, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. The Indians had a light workout here last night. Seattle traveled and got in here about 6:30 last night. But what a beautiful day and a beautiful night here. Game 1 of this 3-game set.
There they go, and here it comes. Bouncing ball toward the middle. Baerga backhand. His play is to first, and they're out of the inning. No runs, a hit, and a couple left. Randy Johnson to the hill when we come back.
There he is, Randy Johnson, trying to win his 3rd in postseason play. I'll tell you, that final game against the Yankees, Bob, when he came in relief, and I mean, you knew it was all on the line. And he gives up the run in the 11th, and I think everybody in the Kingdom and around the country that was a Seattle fan, their tongues fell out of their mouths, and don't you know they come back with 2 in the 11th to make him a winner. His 2nd postseason win, and tonight trying to get Seattle back to the Kingdom.
18-2, one behind Mike Messina, who won 19 games but lost 9. Kenny Lofton, the only left-handed hitter in the lineup. .310 for the year, 4 for 7 in this series. Lauer's in close to 3rd, and Johnson starts him with a strike. Johnson's ERA of 2.48, easily the best among American League starters. And he's ahead 0-2 by almost half a run over Tim Wakefield of the Red Sox, who was second at 2.95. But here's the most staggering statistic. He fanned 12.3 batters for every 9 innings of work, the best figure in the history of baseball.
And Lofton vulnerable right now. That's the thing with Randy Johnson. I mean, I sometimes think he does you a favor by throwing you a breaking pitch. I really do. He tried to move Lofton back with an inside fastball there.
Here's the 1-2. Off the plate, 2-2. Now, Johnson led the league in strikeouts for the 4th straight year. But there was a stretch not long ago where he led the league in walks 3 straight times. He's completely reversed that. Little topper in front of the plate. Wilson has to hurry. Got him. Lofton's going to argue, but not for long. Just a few heated words as he passes Dale Ford. Heck of a play by Dan Wilson.
It was a heck of a play on a little tapper out in front of home plate. There's another kid that's done a heck of a job for Seattle. There's that little bouncer hit by Lofton. We know he can run. Bare-hand pickup. That's the only chance for Wilson. And the throw, very close play. Ford saw him out. We'll get another look at it here. There again, Wilson, the bare-hand pickup, and they got him. They got him.
The switch hit of Vizquel tries to bunt and pushes it foul. To continue on Johnson, a guy who used to be among the wildest of pitchers. Now it's only his appearance that's wild and therefore intimidating, along with the fastball to the hitters. But he was among the league leaders, walking only about 2.7 for every 9 innings. Messina led with an even 2 walks per 9 innings. So he's actually a control artist now, as overpowering as he is. And no one was even close to him. He had 90 strikeouts more than Todd Stottlemyre of Oakland, who finished second. In a 144-game season, Johnson fanned 294. It's softly into right field. Buhner comes in. 2 outs in the Indian first. And this 1995 League Championship Series game is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Burger King, where you can get your burger's worth, and the employee owners of Avis. We're into the future, into it now, trying harder than ever.
You know, a final word on Johnson, Bob, in talking about the way he's cut back on his walks. You talk to any hitter that's ever faced this guy, and they said that's the problem with it. Not the fact that he throws so hard. I mean, there are a lot of guys who throw hard. But the fact that he can spot you now and spot you with a breaking ball off the outside, he can backdoor you as a right-handed batter or come inside with a hard slider, and that's what's made him so tough. Not the fact that he throws so hard. His control has improved that much.
95 on the gun on that last one. And a ball and a strike to Baerga with Bell on deck.
Now, here's a guy that's hit Randy Johnson pretty well in his career, 324. Been one for his last 7 since '94.
Ball and strike strike two.
There's that backdoor slider we were talking about, Bob. You know, in talking with Carlos Baerga last night during that workout, I asked him, I said, you know, you've had pretty good success against this guy. What is it? He said, well, you know, once in a while I get a base hit. Other times he gets me out.
Like this time. Just blew it right by him. First strikeout for Johnson. No score after one. My friends, it says right here, the critics have called it an action-packed thrill ride with great special effects. It's JAG, NBC's new drama, tomorrow night after Game 4 of the LCS. Don't miss JAG Saturday night on NBC. Viewers on the West Coast should check their local listings. Two men reached against Charles Nagy in the first. He got out of it. Now he'll face a guy who's punished him this year, Jay Buhner. Buhner hit 5 regular season home runs against the Indians, plus a 9th-inning homer off Jose Mesa in Game 2 of this series at the Kingdome. 2 of those homers were at the expense of Nagy.
And again, in talking with Lou Piniella about Nagy and Buhner, I said, when he talked about taking this guy to right field, not trying to pull him all the time, I said, well, Buhner's one of those guys that takes the ball out the other way every once in a while. He said, yeah, if he looks for it, he'll go that way. And you got to look for breaking balls. You can't look for fastballs against Charles Nagy. You got to sit on breaking stuff.
1-0 pitch, breaking ball, swung on and missed.
And again, despite the fact that you look for it, it doesn't mean you're going to hit it. I mean, you've got to make yourself way back, look breaking stuff, then way back and try to drive it to right, especially a pitch like that, down low and away.
He's ahead of him 1-2. Flowers on deck, and Soho to follow in the second.
Isn't it funny, Bob, how you look at a guy like a Randy Johnson, who's probably the hardest thrower in all of baseball, 18-2 for the year, and you talked earlier about the guy over at Atlanta, Greg Mack, at 19-2. I mean, such a difference in pitching styles and velocity, but yet Maddox is one of those guys, I mean, drives you crazy. And here's a guy that's strictly a challenge, talking about Johnson.
The 2-2 to Buhner. And here's a drive to deep left, and he has rung Nagy up again. Whatever it is that Charles Nagy is throwing, Jay Buhner generally finds it to his liking. He hit 40 for the year. That's his second of this series and his 7th counting the playoffs against Cleveland in '95.
Al, it was a hanging breaking ball, and we said earlier, if Nagy stays downstairs, he'll have success. This is a high curveball about belt high, and Buhner jumps all over it. Watch it, right here. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Belt high and no problemo. Albert Bell turned around and watched it right out of here.
Up steps Flowers. 2 for 8 with a homer in the series. 23 homers, 96 RBIs during the regular year. You hate to overstate, but sometimes this is enough for Randy Johnson.
I was going to say the same thing, Bob. You're absolutely right.
Certainly you can't allow much more.
Well, you know, when you get a guy like Johnson to lead, and he knows he's capable of shutting out any ball club, and I'm sure the same thing is on his mind. There's the guy that has given Seattle a lead, Jay Buhner. Buddy Bell along with Mike Hargrove.
Nagy's 0-2 pitch. High and away.
You know, but you figure if you're a pitcher on this Indians staff and you give up a run or two, you're going to be in the ballgame. You got a chance to win. Not so. And again, I'm not saying Johnson's going to stop him or shut him out tonight, but he's always got that chance.
It's a third. Espinosa ranging to his left, has trouble getting rid of it, but got him by half a step.
A little ground ball, a little breaking ball down low and away that Flowers tried to pull. This ball runs up the arm of Espinosa. There it is. Finally gets a handle on it and throws out Flowers by about a step.
Stickers on Espinosa's bag. He has made many stops in the majors and in the minors. Ball 1 to Soho, has 1 hit
in the series. 1-1. Nagy was 6-1 over his last 8 regular season starts, and then beat the Red Sox in the playoffs. He's 28 years old, from Fairfield, Connecticut. 1-2.
I'll tell you, if Nagy stays out there all night long, you better make up your mind you're going to go to right field. Here's one of the guys on the Seattle ball club, Bob, talking about Luis Sojo, who's really done a job. I mean, this guy is a hacker and slasher. There you see the defense against Sojo. They play him about as straight away as you can be. He's a guy that'll go to right field. If you take a look at Albert Bell in left, you can show Albert Bell in left. He's a good 90 feet off the line out there, actually bunching on Lofton, who shades towards right center. There you see the line from the line to Albert Bell's position. He reaches for it, lines it, and Vizquel makes what for him is a routine play. I mean, that doesn't crack his top 100 plays of any season. Now, easy play for Omar Vizquel on a soft little line drive. He timed his leap perfectly. When the ball left Sojo's bat, it looked like it might get over his head. But there he is, an easy play for Omar Vizquel.
Did he think that was the last out?
He may have, yeah. Why not? Everybody's fired up here.
He made some plays, one on Buhner diving into the hole, the other barehanded on Sojo in Game 2 in Seattle. It really shows you why he's regarded, now that Ozzie Smith is 40 years old and perhaps will play only one more season, why Vizquel is now regarded as the best gloved man at his position in either league.
You know, he's made that barehanded play. I've seen him do it a number of times, and I asked him about it, and he said it's the easiest way for me to make the play. He said I have a lot of confidence in grabbing the ball barehanded instead of trying to make it a glove play, pick it out of the glove and throw in the same motion. He said it's a lot easier for me, barehand, make the throw. It's a do-or-die play anyway. If you make it, fine. If you don't, it's a base hit.
Wilson swings and misses 2-1. Vizquel told me he often played barehanded as a kid in the streets in Caracas, Venezuela. Venezuelan shortstops, boy, rattle off the list. Carrascal, Aparicio, Concepcion, Guillen. Tap foul, 2-2. Wilson in the 9-hole, 278, 9 home runs. Not a soft touch.
Now, this guy's done a good job, and a former Cincinnati Red, and a guy that Lou Piniella wanted. And he does a good job behind the plate. He's a pretty good receiver. He throws pretty well. And the 9 home runs, including a big game winner against the White Sox in September, was a big one for Seattle.
A full count. He came to Seattle from Cincinnati with Bobby Ayala. And the deal that sent Brett Boone and Eric Hansen off to Cincinnati. Hansen has since moved on to the Red Sox, where he had a big year.
Isn't it funny, Boone in a postseason series now, along with Dan Wilson here.
That's Nagy's first strikeout. But the Jay Buhner home run has given Randy Johnson a 1-0 lead.
Back to the Jake in a moment. In Atlanta, Greg Maddux is rolling, and Reggie Sanders continues to be foiled by Atlanta pitching. Maddux striking him out as Sanders leads off the second inning. Sanders with 11 strikeouts in his last 15 at-bats, while Maddux is not allowed a hit through 2. Back to Bob and Bob.
All right, Hannah, thanks. It'll be Albert Bell, Eddie Murray, Manny Ramirez to face Randy Johnson in the bottom of the second. There may be some debate about the MVP in both leagues, although I think Albert Bell's September surge probably won it for him in the American League. But they don't even have to collect the ballots. They could just do it by acclamation when it comes to Cy Young. Maddux and Johnson.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt, Bob. And again, here's Albert Bell, the leadoff, and he gets my vote as the MVP this year. I know Mo Vaughn had a heck of a year, but I mean, what this guy has done for the Indians throughout the season, and I know he had a big second half and a big last month of the year, and I don't care. You know, people say, well, he did it after they clinched. There was nobody telling him what the pitches were. I mean, there was nobody saying, here comes a fastball, Albert hit it. I mean, this guy did his job day in, day out, and I think he deserves it. I really do.
Edgar Martinez of the Mariners, who will be somewhere in the first 3 with Vaughn and Bell, says that he thinks this guy should get the award.
Oh, I do, too. I mean, you got a guy in right field in Jay Buhner with Seattle, who's had a heck of a year and I think should be considered as an MVP candidate. But, you know, with the Edgar Martinez situation, here's a guy that's a DH. I mean, I think it's got to go to a guy that plays every day, Bob. Unless some guy hits 400, hits 60 home runs, and knocks in 160. That's a different story. But I think it's still got to be an everyday guy, a guy that plays defense for you, too.
Johnson's 1-1 to Bell, and a bouncing ball to short. Soho, one down. Covering tonight's action, the Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron. Short hop for him. That's just a shuttle blimp flight. Based at Goodyear's corporate headquarters 30 miles south of Jacobs Field.
You ever been in that thing?
No, and have no plans. Dirigibles are not terribly appealing to me. I mean, to look at them from a distance, to enjoy the shots they bring us, but...
I've been up there, but not the blimp.
Well...
And you know it.
Perhaps during a rain delay, you might be able to elaborate. Murray played in the ALCS in 79 and 83 with the Orioles. In the World Series, both those years. Johnson's 0-1 pitch to him. He'll give you the different arm angles, too, as if the repertoire itself isn't difficult enough to deal with.
If you're a left-hander, from time to time, you'll drop down sidearm style. He's only got one in there tonight. Strictly left-handed in Kenny Lofton. But I'm telling you, look at Murray there. And I know Eddie sits on a lot of fastballs. He's sitting on a heater there, and Johnson threw it right by him. Starts him off with a slider, a hard slider, strike one. Runs a fastball away, and now comes with a high fastball again. And he's ahead of 1-2 on Murray.
Lays off, 2-2. Murray at .323 for the year. One of 4 Indians, Bell, Baerga, and Thome the others, in the top 10 in hitting in the American League. The Indians led the league in runs, team average, and homers. Bounced softly to third. Flowers with lots of time, and has him at first. The Indians, as a matter of fact, hit 207 home runs in just 144 games. If you figure that out and project it to a full 162, it comes out to 232, not far off the all-time record of 240 by the 1961 Yankees of Maris and Mantle.
But again, I mean, you can talk about the Indians, and they are a great hitting ball club, and they've got an excellent pitching staff and a very strong bullpen. But again, this Seattle club, Bob, I mean, with the Buhners and Griffey and the 2 Martinez, along with Mike Blowers, who's had a big year with 23 home runs, I mean, they don't have to take a back seat to anybody, really. I mean, this club can score runs. They've hit 182 home runs for the year themselves.
Big reception at Jacobs Field for young Manny Ramirez, who really struggled the last couple of weeks of the regular season. And through the 3 games against the Red Sox and the first one up in Seattle, and then exploded, going 4 for 4, 2 of the hits home runs in Game 2 as the Indians got even in the series. Johnson's 0-1 pitch, off speed and outside.
And a few bad breaking balls that he's throwing here in the early going. The thing that Charlie Manuel said with Ramirez was the fact that they closed him up a little bit, about 4 to 6 inches, and had him get into a little deeper crouch. They said he was standing up a little too much. They looked at films, got him bent over a little bit, and that seems to have straightened him out. We'll see what happens here tonight against this guy.
You'll see when he's really humming a lot of what you just saw. Fouls back to the screen because you just can't get around. I mean, here's Ramirez with .410 against left-handers, but this isn't just any left-hander.
No. And you can't take a bigger swing. You say to yourself, hey, he's really throwing hard. I'm gonna take a real hack at this one. You got to shorten up from time to time.
Line down the left field line and foul.
You got to shorten your stroke a little bit, Bob, and instead of taking it way back and really, you know, cocking the bat and then letting yourself go. Because, I mean, he's throwing 98 to 100 miles an hour time after time. And here's that last pitch to Ramirez out in front of him. He hooks a liner foul.
They're doing the change.
Oh, yeah.
He's obviously sitting on the heat, and he's in front.
And if you get a change and it's in the zone against this guy, you better whack at it. You know, the thing is, you said a moment ago about with the different angles that he comes, his fastball, when he gets up on top with that little 3/4 arm style that he has, he can make it really run away from a right-hander. And he throws so very easy. He's got that very easy delivery, little leg kick, and then pow! Like that.
He's ended each of the first 2 frames with a strikeout. He's set down the first 6 he's faced, and he leads 1-0 after 2.
Back to Cleveland in a moment. In Atlanta, Cincinnati starter David Wells with runners at the corners and 2 outs facing Marquise Grissom. Gets Grissom to pop up to end the inning. The Braves have wasted 5 hits in the first 2 innings, the first time ever in the postseason that a team has 5 hits with no run in 2 innings. Back to Jake.
Hannah, thanks. We were looking into the Seattle dugout. This was moments ago. Maybe a tooth, one of those molars bothering Jay Buhner, or maybe he turned on that Charles Nagy breaking pitch so quickly he wrenched his neck because he just jerked it out of here.
You know what I think may have happened, too? Did you ever yawn and have your jaw kind of locked on you? Did you ever do that?
No.
Okay. Jay Buhner did not yawn and have his jaw locked. I think this is from a swing at a ball. You never had that happen? Cut it out. I think that's what happened to him. He's all right.
They had a Jay Buhner buzz cut night at the Kingdome, and 771 people showed up, either already bald or willing to have their domes shaved clean in order to get a free ticket. Coleman bounces one to Perry and doesn't even have to leave the box. He knows he's gone.
220 were women. That's what was great about it.
Yeah.
They had a lot of gals who wanted to do the same thing.
Up in Seattle, they got that grunge scene going. This series could be rock and roll against alternative. You got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here.
Absolutely.
You know, but your era, Little Richard.
Yeah.
Chuck
Ted
Berry.
Nugent.
Ted Nugent, the Motor City Madman.
Yeah.
Good reference.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, buddy.
What about Pearl Jam and Soundgarden?
Pearl
Some of that
Jam,
alternative.
Meatloaf?
Yeah, I don't know.
Meatloaf?
Oh, I love Meatloaf, but that doesn't fit into it.
It does if he's there.
Cora was hit by a pitch his first time up. Mariners lead it 1-0 on the Buhner home run. And Griffey Jr. on deck. The 1-1 pitch. Fouled out of play. Now let's see if you're really up on what's going on.
All right.
The newest, hottest band in Seattle, I'm told. The Presidents of the United States of America.
I haven't been there yet. I haven't seen them. But if we get out there for next Tuesday's 6th game, you and I will be there, buddy.
I like Millard Fillmore on drums, but Herbert Hoover is no match for Eddie Vedder as a lead singer, in my opinion.
Might even get Randy Johnson to sit in. He's a drummer.
Hit sharply to second, but right at Baerga. As Ken Griffey Jr. heads for the plate, we head for Jim Gray, who's with his dad in the stand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Bob. I'm with Ken Griffey Sr. Ken, when your son was growing up, Junior, and he'd see you play in Cincinnati in the playoffs, what did he pay attention to most during your games? What do you think he learned?
Well, he learned how to hit the ball because that's all he was doing. He never paid attention to what we were doing out on the field. And that's always.
Why didn't he pay any attention? He was too busy playing with the other kids?
Well, he was having a lot more fun than watching us play. He wanted to play.
How nervous do you get watching your son play in a situation like this?
Well, you see me sweating, don't you? Right now, I'm very nervous.
Never let him see you sweat as we face the camera here. Those 2 home runs back-to-back in 1990 against Kurt McCaskill. Is it a thrill that you relive and think about quite a bit with your son?
All the time. You know, I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and, you know, I was just happy that we end up doing it.
Go back upstairs to Bob. Thank you, Ken.
Jim, thanks a lot. A soft single to right. Junior's 2 for 2 in this game, and 6 for 9 in the series thus far.
Again, an off-speed pitch. Charles Nagy went down, reached out, and got it, and pulled that ball. First time up, and he singled to center. Here it is again. Little change of pace, running down low and away from Griffey, and he gets out in front and pulls the ball. Didn't hit all that hard, but drops in for a base hit. He's 2 for 2. Boy, his dad was some kind of player, wasn't he?
With the big red machine.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Later with the Yanks. Martinez popped to Baerga his first time up. Still looking for his first hit in this series, and a called strike 1 from Nagy.
And again, when they were both with Seattle, and those times when balls were hitting the gap, when Pop had to run him down and chase and run, and Junior in center laughing at his dad and chasing those balls in the alley.
But in his prime,
senior could really fly. I think he was faster than Kenny, Junior. Yeah, he could run. This guy's a great player, though. He really is. Easy to get along with. He's a good talker, isn't he? Yeah, he's a sweet-natured kid. Great kid. There he is. Senior right there. Nagy looking Griffey back. A Buhner homer in the second as the Mariners in front 1-0. There goes Griffey. Swing and a miss and an off-speed pitch, and the throw is not in time. It skips into center field. Junior gets up. Vizquel whirls and throws, but it's nowhere near in time. Stolen base and an error. That was a very tough pitch for Alomar to try to come up throwing on. Even a great throw probably wouldn't have gotten Junior.
I don't think so. He had a good jump. And the throw by Alomar on the shortstop side of second. Mayorga trying to backhand the play. It got by him or backhand the throw. There's Vizquel's throw. Late. And again, a swing and a miss. And the throw by Alomar in the dirt to the shortstop side of the bag. It's a steal of second for Junior. And he moves to third on an error charge to Alomar.
And Martinez breaks the bat. Espinosa botches the play at third, and an unearned run comes home on the second error of the inning, both after 2 out. Well, Espinosa at third, and Mike Hargrove told us yesterday he gives us an edge defensively over Thome. I don't know whether the flying bat may have distracted Espinosa on that play, but he booted it, and Seattle leads 2-0.
Well, neither of these clubs are known for their defense. And here again is the play. This is an easy ground ball. As you said, Bob, I don't know if that the broken bat distracted Espinosa at all. That was not a tough chance. He should have made the play on Martinez. He's charged with an error. Seattle behind Johnson now leading 2-0.
The kind of thing that just can't happen when you're up against Randy Johnson. You can't give runs away.
Boy, I'm telling you. That's bad enough you have to face that guy. I mean, without committing errors and booting balls. That's the second tonight for Cleveland.
The 1-0 pitch to Tino Martinez. Again, there's a long way to go. The Cleveland Indians have been the best team in just about every respect in the American League this year and probably in all of baseball. The best team offensively and the best pitching staff. They've had the deepest bullpen, the best staff ERA. There goes the runner. Good pitch to throw on this time for Alomar, and he's got it. So Edgar Martinez is cut down, but an unearned run makes it 2-0, and we'll be right back. Randy Johnson staked to a 2-0 lead. Back to work in the third against Herbert Perry. The rookie hit .315. 2 for 4 in his only start against Johnson. Johnson faced the Indians once this year. Beat them 5-3. His 2 losses this year, 1 to California, 1 to Minnesota. He's 20-2, counting the 2 postseason victories. Started to say before the commercial, looking at this from the perspective of the Cleveland Indians, with Randy Johnson on the mound, they've got to at least think about the possibility that if they lose this game, they face a must-win tomorrow and Sunday, or else they go back to Seattle, even if they split down 3-2, having to win 2 in a row in that building and facing Randy Johnson in at least one of those games. This is a team that won its division by 30 games over Kansas City, and then they swept Boston. So until Game 2 of this series, they've never really been behind in any sense. They've never faced a lot of pressure. This is the most pressure that they have faced all season long. Down in this game against the league's best pitcher, and if they lose it, having very little margin for error the rest of the way.
And 2 of their best hitters not in the lineup tonight, and that's Jim Thome and Paul Sorrento, due to the fact that Randy Johnson is in there for Seattle. There's Jim Thome, 25 home runs this year.
Just inside, 3-2. Cleveland's record was 22 games better than Seattle's this year. But that's all out the window when you get into a short series.
Here they are.
Shortstop Soho charging. Throws on the run to retire Perry. And, of course, the Seattle team is not the same team that it was all year. Junior was out for almost 3 months with a broken wrist. And Venice will pitch tomorrow, and Coleman, who sparked them at the top of the order, were added late in the year. While we have a chance, here's tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust baseball fact. The Washington Senators face the New York Giants in the 33 World Series. Name the player managers, both Hall of Famers, who led those teams. I think I know, but I'm not going to give it away.
No, not yet.
Let you think about it for a while.
Well, again, with Seattle leading 2-0 here, and again, with Johnson on the mound, a great chance to get back to Seattle. All they need is one win here.
Alomar squibs one to the right side, and he's retired. Martinez to Johnson.
Well, don't you know, as this game goes on and Johnson gets a little bit stronger, and the pressure is starting to mount for the Indians. Hey, let's face back. They get the split in Seattle, and Pinella was just as happy. Mike Hargrove told us yesterday they were happy to get out of there with a split. Pinella told us the same thing tonight. He said, hey, we're glad getting out of there 1-1 with this guy opening here tonight.
Espinosa steps in and takes the ball. Well, Johnson had to rely on his slider a lot more in Game 3 against the Yankees and in his relief appearance in Game 5 than he usually would because he just didn't have the arm strength. He was pitching on 3 days rest in Game 3 for the second consecutive time, threw 116 pitches, then came back and threw 40 pitches in 3 pressure-packed relief innings in Game 5. Now he has 4 days rest since that appearance and a week's rest since his last start.
Well, he was asked by the press if he thought that relief appearance was going to bother him. He said, nothing is wrong. I felt great. I wanted to stay in that game and keep pitching. Because there was talk about him only working the 1 inning, Bob. But Lou Piniella wanted to keep him in there at his own being, at his own doing. And Johnson said, I wanted to stay in the game. I felt good. I was strong. You give up the run in the 11th, they come back to get 2 in their half, and they win. I like this guy, I really do. And Mike Hargrove, too. I'm not taking anything away from him. Either one. I mean, you talk to those guys, and they tell you anything you want to know. And we walked into Pinella's office tonight. Hey, guys, how you doing? You know, glad to be here. Here's what we're going to do. Everybody's fine. No injuries, no nothing. Basio's my pitcher for game number 5. He came out right away. He said, Basio's going to have 7 days rest. He's my pitcher. He ought to be all right.
Another 1-2 pitch to Espinosa. It's almost mandatory that anytime the batter even twitches these days, the catcher asks to check with the umpire at either third or first, and this time, nothing doing, 2-2. Strikeout number 3. It's been a tidy first 3 innings for Johnson. We're back after this from your local station.
While Randy Johnson dominates in Cleveland, Greg Maddux struggling in Atlanta. Bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the 3rd. But he gets Reggie Sanders, striking him out for the 2nd time in the night. Sanders just 1 for 11 at the plate in this series. We are scoreless in Atlanta.
All right, Hannah, thanks a lot. There's ball 1 to Tino Martinez, who was at the plate when Sandy Alomar put Edgar Martinez down, trying to steal to end the 3rd. Nagy down to Randy Johnson, 2-0. Breaking ball, ripped to right, but Ramirez has it measured. And there's the first out. You know, Charles Nagy had a problem with his shoulder a couple of years ago, and it was right on the borderline as to whether they should do the full rotator cuff surgery or go the more conservative route and just scope it, which is what they did, and that allowed him to resume pitching more quickly. But he says it was only this year that he got the full range of motion back, and he is pitching better than he has in about 2.5 years. I mentioned he won 17 in '92. He won 16 to tie Hershiser for the most victories on the staff this year. Here's his nemesis, Buhner, who walloped one out of here to lead off the 2nd.
I know what he went through. I had scope surgery, arthroscopic surgery on my right shoulder a couple of years ago, Bob, and I know what it is to rehab and come back and try to throw after that type of surgery. I think any guy that comes back from any type of surgery on your shoulder or elbow, and that's the Tommy John, whatever they do, shoulder, elbow, wherever, and you throw anywhere near what you threw before, I think you're doing a heck of a job. Oral Hershiser is an example. I mean, he's almost back to what he was when he had his big year in '88, and he's had the surgery too.
Nagy's behind Buhner 3-0, and there is no way he just looks to groove a strike here. There is a green light flashing from the top of Jacobs Field right now. And he takes a rip at it.
There's no chance a guy like Buhner leading 2-0 and sitting 3-0 with a guy like Nagy. I don't care. If you get one to hit, you got to whack at it. Breaking ball might be a different story, but he throws you something straight. Sinking fastball, little cutter or whatever, you got to go after it.
Taken Nagy deep 3 times this year. Hits this one sharply on the ground to Vizquel. This is automatic. With 2 out, this 1995 League Championship Series game is brought to you by Chevrolet. The cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. And United Artists GoldenEye. Bond is back this November. Did you know that, you? Bond is back?
James Bond?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bond. James Bond.
Absolutely. One of my favorites.
But it's not
Roger
Sean
Moore.
Connery.
No, it's not
Roger
Sean
Moore
Connery anymore. I know.
Not Timothy Dalton.
Nope.
There's a line drive for a 2-out hit off Mike Flower's bat.
Not Don Knotts either.
No, not Don Knotts or Wally Cox. Here's Brosnan. Now here's the next quiz. Name the player managers, both Hall of Famers, who led those 2 teams. I had it half right.
I know one of them. I knew one, too. I knew Bill Terry.
I knew Bill Terry, but I thought it might have been Bucky Harris for the Senators, but it was Joe Cronin.
Right.
Great shortstop.
I knew Bill Terry was one. I didn't. I missed the Joe Cronin, too. I was into the Connie Mack.
Grounded sharply to second base. Baerga ends the inning. You don't win the grand prize, but we do have lovely parting gifts for you. Some Samsonite luggage, perhaps. We'll be back. As we all know, cooler heads prevail, which is apparently this gentleman's belief.
Did somebody say he got hit with a foul ball?
I'm told he got conked, but he didn't want to leave for any extensive medical attention, so they just slapped the ice bag on his dome and said, enjoy yourself.
I knew it wasn't the weather. It's 73 degrees tonight in Cleveland. Now he's all right. That's all that counts.
In the 4th, it's Lofton. Spun away by Johnson. Maybe he tried to go for the Jay Buhner buzz cut, and in his haste,
We'll take a shot at him later on when he lifts that thing off. If indeed he does.
comes down sidearm, and Lofton lifts one to left. This ball's carrying a bit. Coleman going back, and he can't get it. One bounce off the wall. Lofton around second, thinking about a triple, challenging Coleman's arm. It's close. He's in there. So shallow and left that when this ball came slicing off Lofton's bat, he had a long way to retreat. He might have made the play, but he didn't. And Lofton, who led the league in triples, was thinking 3 from the crack of the bat.
Well, a high fastball from Randy Johnson and hit over the head of Coleman and left. I think Coleman pulled back a little once he got to the warning track. It looked for a moment like he was going to be able to make the catch. Lofton ends up with a triple. That's the first hit given up by Randy Johnson tonight.
Except for Blowers, who's even with the bag at third. The infielders are back, of course, leading 2-0, and Vizquel takes the ball. Omar Vizquel, a tremendous fielder, as we've mentioned. But he's become a useful hitter. He hit .266, and he's among the league leaders in sacrifice flies, in sacrifice bunts. He stole 29 bases. He hardly ever grounds into a double play. He's pesky up there. Center field. Lofton tags. Griffey with the catch. No throw. And Vizquel, in fact, delivers. the sacrifice fly to cut the lead to 2-1.
Those are the little things that you talk about when you talk about a player like Omar Vizquel. Everybody talks about his gold glove and what a great fielder he is. He does the little things, knocking and runs, a sac fly, moving runners either with a sacrifice or by hitting behind the runner, Bob, to the right side with the runner at second. As Vince Coleman had left the ball that I think maybe Vince Coleman thought he should have caught. I really do.
Baerga steps in and takes the ball. You know, the rule is never make the first or the last out of an inning at third base. Lofton, though, knowing that they've got to really kind of scramble for anything they can get off Randy Johnson, was willing to gamble. Even with his speed, he was in there just barely at third base, but it was worth the gamble.
Well, and Coleman doesn't have one of the strongest throwing arms on this Seattle club. He's probably the weaker of the three if you're talking about throwing. Griffey in center and Buhner in right with tremendous arms. And here again is that fly ball hit by Lofton. And around first he goes rather leisure-like, Bob. I think if he's busting all the way, which he is now, he makes it to third easily. He's in there just ahead of the throw from Coleman. But again, a ball I think Vince Coleman would tell you he should have caught.
And now Baerga spanks one into center for a one-out single. And Johnson will have to face Bell with the tying run at first.
Baerga, a .324 lifetime hitter against Randy Johnson. You know what he was telling me yesterday in the clubhouse out here for that little workout last night? He says, Yuk, when this guy is out there working against you, he talks to you. He doesn't point at you anymore when he strikes you out. But he hollers at you before he throws the pitch. You ready? I'm coming at you. Here I come. Be ready.
The best against the best. And an off-speed pitch for a strike to Albert Bell. Bell with 50 homers, 126 RBIs. As you all know, the first in history with 50 homers and 50 doubles. He had 52 of them to tie Edgar Martinez for the league lead. First ever to do that in the same season. He's hit 3 homers in his career off Johnson, but he's hitless in his last 10 at-bats, including his first at-bat tonight against Randy. Third base, Flowers. And that's all. Just the force at second. Bell at first with 2 out and muttering to himself.
They take the speedier runner and Baerga off the bases. I think Flowers had the force at second on his mind all the way. In no hurry to get that ball to Joey Cora. It was hit deep at third. He was playing Bell deep at third. They get the force at second. Bell aboard, and here's Murray.
Grounded out his first time. Bell a modest lead at first. Swings on the first one and pops it back to second. Cora retreating. They get 1, but that's all. They leave a man on after 4. 2-1 Seattle. As every veteran sports watcher knows, this is the view from the blimp. But did you know this? The very first baseball game a Goodyear blimp covered was in September of 1925. Now, my question is this. Since there wasn't any television, even in an experimental form, until around 1939 or 40, and I think the first televised World Series was 1947, what exactly was the Goodyear blimp covering at League Park, the old home of the Cleveland Indians, in 1925?
You got me on that one, buddy. I could come up with something, but
hey, just ask
I don't think it would be right.
Just ask him.
Boy, what a beautiful shot. Maybe they mistook the babe for the blimp. Who knows?
I'm told they were doing a radio broadcast of the Senators and the Indians from an unusual angle.
How'd you like to call a home run from out there?
Little tough corner pitch. Tough to judge a fly ball. That's like you out the back. He missed the tag. That's the same vantage point you had down there in the front row.
You're about right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that must be in the front row.
Here's Wilson in the 5th.
How do you call a game from the blimp? They're up there right now. They're right above us.
I'll tell you what, let's take this pitch from the blimp.
Right there. Stop right there.
The count is 0-2. Let's see if they can get a close-up here. Nagy to Wilson. Oh, I could tell that was a ball from 5,000 feet.
Just to get out. What a beautiful shot there.
Wilson, Coleman, and Cora in the fifth. The crowd energized by the Indians getting on the board against Johnson. And now Nagy records his second strikeout. Wilson both times.
And again, as we said at the top of the telecast, you're going to see a lot of breaking stuff tonight from Charles Nagy. And he comes with a breaking ball again. Big crowd here at Jacobs Field. Boy, this town has really done a turnaround, haven't they, Bob? The downtown area here, not only this magnificent baseball field, Jacobs Field, but brand new basketball arena just across the hallway here.
Gund Arena.
Yeah, Gund Arena. Beautiful place. And the whole downtown area in Cleveland really undergoing a huge renovation. And it's beautiful here. It really is.
Coleman 0 for 2. Espinosa in close. Back to Nagy. 2 outs in the Seattle fifth.
Again, Charles Nagy rolling along now. Gave up a base hit back in the fourth. He's retired the next 3 in order. As we said at the top of the telecast, despite the fact that Randy Johnson is going tonight for Seattle, this guy can pitch. He's had problems in the opening inning all year long. And in his career, ERA of over 5 in first innings. But after that, he settles down. And he has here tonight, thus far.
Cora hit by a pitch and grounded out. Hit 297 for the year. Just huge in that fifth game against the Yankees. Early home run off David Cohn. And then the crucial drag bunt single to lead off the 11th against McDowell, sparking the rally. Vizquel throws him out. The first 1-2-3 inning for Nagy. To the bottom of the fifth. 2-1 M's. Well, impartiality is the order of the day as we work here for NBC, but you have an undeniable connection to the Cleveland Indians as Harry Doyle, the voice of the fictional tribe in Major League 1 and 2. And they're calling this one Major League 3, where they hope to go all the way and win the whole thing.
And if I ever show up for one of the NBC games like I did in Major League 1 and 2, I think I'm out of here.
I thought that was your finest work, actually.
We had a lot of fun. We really did.
Hey, we walked up to Sandy Alomar the other night. There's a man who's up for the game.
That was my partner.
We walked up to Sandy Alomar at the batting cage the other night. As soon as he saw you, he started quoting lines from the film. He said, he swings and crushes one towards South America.
Yeah.
Ramirez struck out his first time up. Johnson's 0-1 pitch. Outside, a ball and a strike.
What a difference in noise levels, huh, Bob, between here and the Kingdome? The Kingdome with that crowd roaring in that enclosed stadium was deafening. And here in brand new Jacobs Field, a huge crowd, and it's been this way all year long here. Still 0-0, Cincinnati and Atlanta. Braves lead that series 2-0. There's a great crowd here at Jacobs Field. It's a beautiful park, it really is. Downtown Cleveland. You like this place?
Yeah, this is what a ballpark should feel like. You've got all the modern amenities and the luxury boxes and the extra ways to generate revenue, but the feeling of a ballpark.
Yep. Natural turf. This field, in talking with a lot of the players, the grass is cut very short here. It's a beautiful ballpark. Grass is cut very short, and it's very slick.
And Ramirez becomes the fourth strikeout victim for Randy Johnson.
Well, he got himself straightened out a couple of days ago with a 4-for-4 night at the Kingdome, including a couple of home runs. Randy Johnson has struck him out twice tonight. That's his fourth in this game. High fastball again to Ramirez. That's a tough pitch to handle, boy. I want to tell you, when you got guys like Johnson throwing in the high 90s, and they throw up there. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's awful hard to hit a ball, or hit it fair anyway. You might get a piece of one once in a while. You can't chase pitches up there.
Fouled off by Perry, the former University of Florida quarterback. Began the year in the minor leagues, a June call-up. Started 45 games this year, platooning with Sorrento at first base. And in the lineup with the left-hander Johnson on the mound. I mean, it is no disgrace if you're Tomey or Sorrento to sit. Buck Showalter sat Boggs and O'Neill against Johnson in Game 3 of the division series. Hitters of that caliber. In on his fist, slow roller, tough play. Flowers, bare hands, and got him.
Here it is again by Blowers. We've talked about Vizquel and the barehanded plays that he makes. There's a beauty by Blowers, and he gets Herbert Perry by a step. Nice play by Mike Blowers. Here it is again from a different angle. That's a tough play. That's a do-or-die play. If you don't make it, it's going to be a base hit. And he gets Perry by a step. Blowers, a big year for Seattle. 23 home runs, almost knocked in 100.
Now Sandy Alomar, the first game ever played in this ballpark. That's Chad Oche up and throwing in the Indian bullpen. First game ever played at Jacobs Field. Pitted the Indians against the Mariners. And Randy Johnson had a no-hitter into the 8th, broken up by a Sandy Alomar single. The game eventually went extra innings, and the Indians won it.
He didn't get a decision in that game, but you're right, Bob. He had him no-hit through 8+.
And the 1-1 pitch. Down and in.
You know, in looking at Johnson tonight, I think we're seeing a lot more breaking stuff from him than you normally would. And I don't know if he's having a little problem or not. I mean, he seems to be fluid and has good pop on his fastball. But a lot of breaking stuff here tonight.
Fastball high and away. 3 balls and a strike. Well, he said last weekend in Seattle, said it with a smile, I was pitching on fumes because they've had to go to him so often down the stretch.
He just asked the home plate umpire again if that was a check swing strike. Dale Ford, the first base umpire, said no. Johnson thought it was 2-2. He thought it was 2-2. There's Lou Piniella now. And there's the home plate umpire, Rick Reed, saying, nope, it was not a strike. It's 3 balls and a strike, not 2-2. Here it is again. Check swing by Sandy Alomar, and I'll tell you what, that, I think, was a strike.
That is not, and he's aboard with a 2-out walk.
Piniella still upset at that call by the first base umpire. Dale Ford is the guy that made the call, saying that Alomar checked in time, but from our angle, it looked like he went around too far.
First man walked tonight by Johnson. You know, we told you that this year he spanned 12.3 for 9 innings of work. The previous record was Nolan Ryan, 11.3 in 1989. For his career, Johnson averages 10 strikeouts per game, and that's the all-time career record. There's a liner into left center. It falls softly for a hit. Alomar on his way to third as Coleman gets it back in. Espinosa's single puts runners at the corners with 2 outs.
Well, Espinosa atones for an error in the third that allowed a run to score. Little ground ball hit by Edgar Martinez. He booted it for an error with Ken Griffey scoring. Here's that last base hit, little soft line drive in the left center. And Espinosa with a 2-out single. The Indians, the tying run at third with 2 men out. You know, I was going to say, Bob, when we talked earlier about Espinosa and Perry being in this game, and I'll tell you what, it's no easy chore. I mean, it's bad enough when you play against a guy like Johnson, and you're in the lineup every day. To sit out and have to go up against him as a hitter once a week or something is really tough. It really is. I know what that feels like.
Espinosa at first, Alomar at third. Johnson came sidearm to Lofton last time, and Kenny tripled to left. He slices this one toward the left field corner, but it's in the seats foul.
You got Lofton leaning out now. Kenny on those 2 breaking balls, kind of leaning out. Let's see if Randy Johnson tries to come inside here with a fastball. Here it is again. Lofton getting out there. Although he was kind of bailing a little bit, he still had the plate covered and takes one in the foul territory. I said before, I see it. Johnson now tries to work him inside here. Come up a little bit and inside.
You stand in there left-handed and keep telling yourself, keep the shoulder in, keep the shoulder in.
You know what tells you to get out? Your backside, buddy.
And every rational cell in your brain. Like, you know, from a left-hander's perspective, that's so nasty, it should be rated NC-17. That's his 5th strikeout.
Jacobs Field in a moment in Atlanta. Top of the 5th, Barry Larkin on first. 2 outs. Greg Maddox facing Ron Gant. Larkin tries to steal, but the Braves gets right with a pitch out. They get Larkin in the rundown, and they get out of this inning. 13 base runners thus far in the game, and no runs. We're still scoreless in Atlanta in the 5th. Back to Bob.
Anna, thanks. Ken Griffey Jr. is the leadoff man here in the 6th. He's had a pair of singles, a stolen base, and he scored a run. You know, as great as he is, already establishing himself, when healthy, in the opinion of many people, as the best all-round player in baseball, he's still not the best player ever to come out of Denora, Pennsylvania. Stan Musial, who played on an integrated high school team in the 30s, not with Ken Griffey Sr., but with Ken Griffey Jr.'s grandfather. Played basketball and baseball with him in Denora, Pennsylvania in high school. 1-2.
Beautiful change of pace that time from Nagy. Tell you what, he just missed on the second pitch a fastball that I thought could have been called a strike on the inside to Griffey. I still think you got to pitch this guy down and in. I mean, he'll chase breaking stuff down and in. And if you can throw the off-speed stuff, the straight change or that little riding change that Nagy has down low and away. Like that.
Called strike 3.
That was it. That was a changeup right on the outside corner. And, I mean, a good pitch anyway. Good pitch anyway. Here it is, off-speed. Griffey out in front, trying to check his swing. The pitch was good anyway, right on the corner. Strikeout, number 3 for Nagy. Look at those guys, those big hitters like Griffey. And, I mean, unless they're looking, they're always geared for a little something hard.
Ready, just in case they have to jump into the lifeboat. A strike at the knees to Edgar Martinez, who reached on Espinosa's error, which scored a run in the 3rd, but he's still looking for his first hit of the series. And this equals his longest hitless streak of the season, 8 at-bats.
It's no small wonder why a guy like Martinez leads the league at 356. And you talk about his hitless, his longest hitless scheme being 2 games or 8 at-bats.
1-2.
There's a problem with Martinez, Bob, and he's the guy that talks about this more often than anybody else. The fact that he's got to drive the ball to right field. I mean, he's got to sit back, and especially against a guy like Nagy who throws so much off-speed stuff, he's got to hit the ball to right or try to drive it to right center.
Right on the block. A perfect pitch. 2 called third strikes for Nagy against 2 of the best hitters in the league to start the 6th.
Need you say more? I don't know if that was a strike or not. It was good enough for Rick Reed. I don't know if Martinez could have reached that ball. Here it is one more time. And again, it's a change of pace. You see that very, very slow rotation. There it is. Now, it's close. I don't know if it's a strike or not. Rick Reed's got the indicator. That's all that counts.
Now Nagy to his former Olympic teammate. They were on the 1988 squad that won the gold medal in the Seoul Olympics. Nagy from the University of Connecticut. Martinez, University of Tampa in Florida.
Oh, this guy's throwing a lot of off-speed stuff now. Good change of pace. Good curveball. Settling in, down 2-1. Struck out 4.
His defense betrayed him in the 3rd. Throwing error by Alomar on a steal from Griffey. And then a ground ball off the chest of Espinosa at third base. Other than that, it's just a solo homer by Buhner. And
finding a groove in the middle innings.
You know, you tell yourself as a hitter to wait back. I mean, if you're going to look off speed, change your breaking ball, you keep saying to yourself, wait back, wait back, wait back. You don't realize how quick you are as a hitter, Bob, how quick your hands get through the hitting zone, even though you're sitting back on off-speed stuff.
Almost got his called third strike of the inning. That didn't miss by much. Very nearly a punch-out. Now a full count to Martinez with Buhner on deck. Breaking ball fouled away. Nagy throws a pitch he calls a slurve that splits the difference, obviously, between a slider and a curve.
Right. That's exactly what he calls it. It's not real hard. I mean, it's an off-speed pitch. And he's got a good one. And if that's working for him, I mean, he'll keep you in a ballgame, which he's doing here tonight.
They check down at first, and Martinez is gone too. Strikes out the side in the sixth. And the Indians hang close.
Now, here's the first of the 3 strikeouts for Nagy on a check swing, but a good change of pace on the outside corner for Griffey. Here's the second strikeout in the inning. This right on the outside corner to Edgar Martinez. And number 3, a low inside breaking ball to Tino as he strikes out the side. This is a good ball game. 2-1 here in the 6th.
And Nagy has matched Randy Johnson's strikeout total of 5, although, of course, he's worked an extra inning. This now is Johnson's 6th inning of work. And Vizquel bounces one which would have been over most pitchers, but the 6'10 Johnson, tallest pitcher in baseball history, is easily able to snare it. This 1995 League Championship Series game is brought to you by Texaco Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth, and the makers of Advil.
He's the biggest player in baseball. 6'10 Randy Johnson. As Bob said, anybody else, that might be an infield single. He went up and made an easy play on Vizquel for the first out in the inning.
Now Baerga struck out and singled. Bell on deck. Look at Baerga's bat. That looks like something you get at the toy store, your Christmas present, a red bat.
The Pete Rose model?
Nah. What is the kind of bat that should have a name like Robert Redford's bat? Was that Wonder Boy? Roy Hobbs in The Natural? The 0-2. High and away.
I didn't notice that bat on Baerga his first time up. Did you?
I think he just went to it this turn.
That is, he spray painted that thing in the dugout.
Johnson's 1-2 pitch. Didn't miss by much.
Doesn't have any marks on it yet. It looks like it's brand new.
Hit to third. Flowers throws on the run and gets Baerga. Flowers has had a good night at third base.
Slowly hit ground ball by Baerga right down the line. Flowers gets there in plenty of time, and on the run, easy play on Baerga. He's done a good job for Seattle. I was talking to him before the game tonight, Bob, about that 5th game against the Yankees in Seattle when he was taken out of the game. He said, "Uke, I'm telling you, sitting in the clubhouse and watching that thing was unbelievably, almost unbearable." He said, "I was so much more relaxed in the game and on the field."
On the first pitch, Bell will now be 0 for 3 tonight against Johnson. Buhner calls Cora off. A perfect 6th for Randy. And we're back after this from your local station.
Welcome back to Cleveland. I'm Jim Gray. As we head to the top of the 7th inning, we've got Jay Buhner coming up. But a lot of fans here in the stands seem to have you confused. They think you're Jay, but actually it's his brother, Sean. A lot of people think you're twins?
Yeah, I get that question just about every day.
However, you're 7 years younger. You play for Wisconsin in minor league ball in the Mariners organization. Sitting here watching your brother, I know it's a dream for you, but how many times on the field have you guys thought you were in a championship series and you or your brother hit a home run?
I never have. I've never been to a championship. Well, Back in high school, I was in the state championship game, but I never hit a home run. So,
But you dreamt it quite a bit with your brother growing up.
I tell you what, I'm happy for him, and we all are. Matter of fact, all the family here, and we're just wishing the best.
Jay's at the plate right now. The Mr. Clean look is going on down here, Bob.
If he just gets a little goatee going,
Boy, I'm telling you.
it would be impossible just about to distinguish them. Nagy behind him 2-0. And Buhner can't catch up with that one.
Well, he was sitting 2-0, gets one right down the middle, and took a home run, cut and missed it.
Buhner has hit safely in all 8 of Seattle's postseason games. The only Seattle player to do so. 2-2.
And again, these guys are now starting to see a steady diet of off-speed stuff.
He threw him a fastball on 2-0 when he might have been looking off speed, then came back with good pitch selection to have him off balance. And that one's on the corner for his 4th consecutive called strike 3 and his 6th strikeout of the game. Nagy's sizzling now, and off we go to Hannah Storm.
Well, Greg Maddux was sizzling, Bob, retiring the side in the 6th, facing Reggie Sanders. Strikes him out for the 3rd time in the game. Sanders just 1 for 12 in the NLCS with 8 strikeouts, and we're still scoreless in Atlanta, Bob.
Boy, Reggie Sanders is going to have to ring up Mo Vaughn and Jose Canseco in the offseason, and they'll have to commiserate someplace. Great seasons and busts, at least for Sanders so far, in the postseason.
That's unbelievable. 3 strikeouts tonight.
Flowers bounced out and singled. One out in the 7th. 2-1 Seattle. And Nagy has complete command now and only an unearned run in the 3rd inning. Separates Seattle and Cleveland here.
He struck out 5 of the last 7 that he's faced. All right, 5 of the last 8.
And the last 4 in a row. Finally, somebody makes contact. Here's Kenny Lofton sprinting into the gap toward the wall along with Ramirez, and Lofton has it. He's won 2 Gold Gloves. He and Vizquel are the real high points defensively for Cleveland.
Watch Lofton. He knows where this ball, and looking at the right fielder, Manny Ramirez, did you see him say, I got it, I got it? And an easy play at the wall for Kenny Lofton, one of the premier center fielders in all of baseball. He was hollering at Ramirez, I got it, no problem, and makes the play.
When they give out those outfield Gold Gloves, they don't distinguish left, center, right, which is why Griffey can get one and Lofton can get one in the same year, and Devon White and other people.
You know, the other thing that a lot of people tend to forget about Lofton is, you know, his great speed, but the fact that he throws, he's got one of the better throwing arms in the American League. A lot of people don't think he throws well, but he can and does.
In the bottom of the 7th, Murray, Ramirez, and Herbert Perry are the scheduled hitters against Johnson. Soho pulled off that ball, but still manages a single to center.
I'll tell you, that guy's a hacker and slasher. I mean, he's up there cutting all the time. Pitches high and away, down low and inside, Bob. I mean, he hits all over the ballpark. He'll take an off-speed pitch and drive it to left down the line in the corner. Something high and outside, he'll take you to right. This pitch is out of the strike zone. Watch this. Watch where he gets this ball. Way outside and up. And lines it to center. Here it is again. Watch this. That ball's high and outside.
From mid-August on, Soho hit .325 and became the regular shortstop. Wilson has struck out both times against Nagy. They thought the job would go this year to the former Indian, Felix Fermin. What a steal for Cleveland when they got Vizquel for Fermin. They thought Fermin would keep the job warm until the young phenom Alex Rodriguez took over and became their shortstop for a long time. But then Soho just out-hit Fermin, who hit just .195 for the year. There's that slurve and it's up high. And Soho became the starting shortstop when it really mattered as the Mariners overcame that 13.5-game deficit in the West.
Now he gives you a lot more offensively, as you said, and he's not all that bad at shortstop. The costly miscue in that second game in Seattle. And the ball that should have been a double play ball hit by Paul Sorrento in the 5th inning. Turned out to be a forced play, and the Indians went on to score a couple of runs.
Nagy's 2-0 pitch to Wilson is in there.
Well, I'll tell you, Rick Reed is being rather lenient tonight with the outside corner. And again, I mean, if you're a hitter up there, and you know, here's the situation. Mark Wiley now coming out to talk with Charles Nagy. But you're up there in this situation as a catcher, Bob. It's really tough on you. When you're back there catching, and a pitch like that is in there, and you get the strike call, you know it's a bad pitch. I mean, you know it's a borderline pitch. You're up there hitting, and it's called against you. You know where the pitch is. It's borderline, but you get the same pitch catching, and you better be ready to whack at it if you're up there hitting. Wiley back into the Indian dugout after a short conference with Charles Nagy. That's Bud Black sitting there.
Former Indian and Kansas City Royal left-hander. Darn good pitcher at his time.
Absolutely.
2-1 pitch to Wilson. It's softly into right to Ramirez. Almost in his tracks. No runs ahead, a man left. Stretch time at Jacobs Field. Indians down by 1.
Back to Jacobs Field in a moment, but first we finally have a score in Atlanta. Bottom of the 6th, the catcher Charlie O'Brien at the plate facing David Wells with 2 on, and Wells gives up the 3-run home run. Big home run to left for Charlie O'Brien as he gives his battery mate Greg Maddux a 3-0 lead to work with. Back to Jacobs Field.
Well, both this year and historically, Greg Maddux has not been as good a pitcher in postseason as during the regular season, certain to win his 4th consecutive Cy Young Award. But it is not often that you give him a 3-0 lead. He'll be going to the 7th inning, and he squanders it. So the Reds are looking at being down 0-3.
Former Brewer catcher Charlie O'Brien. Former Met. The Brewers for a couple of years, 87, I think, through 90. Or being traded to Atlanta.
Eddie Murray leading off in the bottom of the 7th. He's 0 for 2. A 1-1 pitch from Johnson. In there, it's widely felt by scouts that Eddie Murray, who at age 39, still hit .323, very dangerous hitter, has more bat speed left-handed than right. You can throw it past him right-handed for whatever reason a little more readily than left. And against Johnson, well, he can't catch up with it.
Well, you're right, Bob. I think left-handed he sits on fastballs, and from the right side they do. They try to throw him off speed stuff from time to time out of the strike zone. Here's a high fastball from Randy Johnson. Of his 6 strikeouts tonight, I guarantee you about 3 have come on pitches out of the strike zone. 3 or 4 have been those high fastballs. The one to Lofton was a breaking ball on the outside corner, but Eddie Murray taking a second look. When he runs it up there at 98 to 99 miles an hour, I mean, you got to be ready to catch up to it, especially that kind of stuff upstairs.
He spanned Ramirez both times, and this one's fouled off. Well, you faced Koufax. Sandy came right over the top. He threw that 4-seam fastball that seemed to almost jump over the bat, plus the unbelievable curveball, the drop-off-the-table curveball. Carlton and Guidry had the sharp-breaking sliders. Don Gullett really threw heat.
There's another guy here, Bob, that I'm sure a lot of fans here in Cleveland hadn't seen, or may even not remember.
Bouncing ball to second. Here's Cora for the second out.
But I know you know who I'm talking about, and Sudden Sam McDowell, one of the hardest throwers in all of baseball, a left-hander. And there's a guy to our right here who's been a Cleveland broadcaster for a long, long, long time, and during his career, which was cut short by a line drive hit off the bat of the Yankees, Bill McDougall. We're talking about Herb Score, who in his young years in the big leagues, and as I said, prior to that injury, there he is, one of the really great guys in the game of baseball. I'll tell you what, there weren't many people that threw harder than that guy, and had a great curveball to go along with it.
Harry's 0 for 2. We're just talking about left-handers.
Oh, yeah.
Now, so might as well throw Vida Blue for a while in the early 70s.
Absolutely.
Bob Veal of the Pittsburgh Pirates could really fire it.
Veal was not a guy that had really great control, Bob, but he had great velocity and a good breaking ball. I mean, he was another one of those guys. You better be ready when you go up there, right-handed or left-handed. I mean, you always talk about left-handers having such a tough time against certain left-handed pitchers. Well, I'll tell you what, right-handers have a tough time against guys like Johnson and Koufax and the Carltons and people like that.
Well, in Johnson's case, in the case of Carlton and Guidry. When that slider breaks down and in to the right-handed hitter, it's just devastating.
Well, you're frozen all the time. I mean, you know, you're between the devil and a deep blue sea. If a guy is throwing that hard, you can't hit them both. I mean, it's almost impossible up to 2 strikes until you're protecting the plate. You know, I mean, until you're maybe shortening your stroke a little bit to try and get the bat on the ball.
Does he throw as hard as Koufax?
Oh, I think he throws, yeah. I think he throws as hard as Sandy. Sandy had the, as you said, you talked about Sandy's fastball. He was right over the top. This guy comes a little 3/4 sidearm, has a tendency to run away a little bit. Sandy's ball, a 4-seamer, what had a hop on it. I mean, when you throw a 4-seam fastball, it comes off your fingers. The ball has a backspin on it. And when you throw that hard, it has a little hop. I mean, he could throw a ball at your waist when it got to your, it would be at your chest somewhere around there. It's going to be a bad pitch. I'd love to catch a guy like this. I really would.
2 out, nobody on, and Perry lines one foul, so the count to him holds 2-2.
You know,
is his slider as good as Carlton or Guidry?
I think they're both in the same category, Guidry and Carlton, with this guy's breaking ball. It's not a real big breaking ball, but it's hard. I mean, when a guy throws a 90-plus mile-an-hour breaking ball, and a fastball around 98 to 100, you know, depending on what pitch, what inning it is. I don't care who you are as a hitter, you're going to have problems with it.
Let's see how fast this one is. 88 as he took something off. You know, what you're talking about, the overpowering fastball near 100 and a slider up over 90, that was J.R. Richard from the right side. With the Houston Astros.
You saw him. I saw him. I faced him.
Plus, he was nearly as tall. He was 6'8", Johnson 6'10". Just scared the heck out of you.
Very hard thrower, yep.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. Went off speed again, and it's rolled foul.
Now, here's a guy that throws as hard as anybody in baseball, and maybe harder. With a 3-2 pitch and 2 outs against Herbert Perry, not taking a chance, throws a breaking ball. He's got Sandy Alomar due next. And threw the 3-2 breaking ball on Perry. That shows you the difference in this guy, Bob. And I know you've watched him for a long time. Alomar is going to be next. But his breaking stuff and his control has improved so much, it's made him an outstanding pitcher.
And Perry, after fouling a few off, earns that walk with 2 outs.
That surprises me a little bit. I thought they'd go with a fastball. I mean, they're leading by a run here. It's not where you're going to give up the lead run. Now you've got a chance. You've walked a guy with 2 outs, and you got a guy up here now in Alomar who's got home run power. He's hit 10 for the year and has hit Randy Johnson fairly decent. Not tonight, but he has had success against him. So I'm surprised you go with a breaking ball to a hitter like Perry, who hasn't been playing all that much, and instead to face Alomar with a runner on.
Alomar's gone to the rose-colored bat like Baerga. I wonder if they're sharing the same stick.
I don't know what that fastball was, but I'll guarantee you that's one of the better ones that he's thrown tonight. That one was not 88 miles an hour. That was in the high 90s. Watch this fastball. I mean, bow. Inside corner, and really tied up Alomar.
Just running right in on it.
Oh, boy.
Now the 0-1 pitch to Sandy. The runner is going. Here's the throw from Wilson. It's a perfect throw, and they cut him down. Not a bad gamble trying to get him into scoring position, but Wilson nails him.
Back to Jacobs Field in a moment. 3-0 Atlanta, top of the 7th. A runner on first for Greg Maddux and 1 out facing Jeff Branson. Branson, the long fly ball, but look at Marquise Grissom. The speedy Grissom covering a ton of ground to save a run there, and Atlanta still with a shutout. 3-0 in the 7th.
Up in the bullpen now for Cleveland, the right-hander Julian Tavares, the left-hander Paul Ossenmacher. This inning begins with Cora. Then they get into that left-right part of the order. Griffey from the left side. Coleman, I should say. Cora on deck. Getting a batter ahead of myself. But eventually they get into that left-right situation. And Hargrove wants to have the southpaw and the right-hander ready. Top of the order, Coleman, then Cora, and then Griffey.
It's a real luxury for Hargrove, and Piniella admitted as much tonight. You asked him the same question, Bob. You know, when you've got this situation, Coleman, the Cora, you got Griffey, then Edgar Martinez, a right-handed batter, Tino, a left-handed batter to follow, then Jay Buhner, and he's got that kind of a bullpen where he can go left-hander, left-hander, right-hander, right-hander, whatever.
Coleman 0 for 3 tonight, 1 for 11 in the series. Thinks about a bunt and misses it. 1-2. Tomorrow, Andy Bennett goes for Seattle. Ken Hill, who would have pitched Game 4 against the Red Sox, but they swept. So Hill, who hasn't worked in a while, will be the starter. There he is charting pitches. On Sunday, Dennis Martinez comes back for Cleveland, and Chris Bosio gets the ball for Seattle. Coleman got a piece of it and stays in there.
Got a piece of the home plate umpire, Rick Reed, too. That one just in the lower portion of the mast. Didn't get underneath the mast. Here it is one more time. Watch this ball pop up. And off the shoulder pad. I thought it got him under the mask, but off the shoulder pad. Some umpires wear a chest protector similar to a catcher, but on each shoulder they have almost a football-type shoulder pad to protect that exposed area.
He tries to bunt with 2 strikes out in front of the plate. Alomar got him at first. A 2-strike bunt, and it nearly works. But Sandy makes the play.
Not a bad play at all by Vince Coleman, trying to get aboard to lead off here in the 8th inning. 2-strike bunt attempt, and not a bad bunt at all, but Alomar jumping out very quickly, bare-hand pickup, and he got him by a step. Nice play by Sandy Alomar. There it is from another angle to finish it off.
And here's Cora, hit by a pitch, grounded out twice. Baerga snatches it and retires it.
Sharply hit ground ball by Cora, but a nice pick by Baerga. Throw him out for the 2nd inning. What is a good ball game. Really is. Here it is one more time. That's a fastball from Nagy. And Cora pulls it. Baerga, tricky little hop, but he plays it nicely and throws him out.
Now Griffey. A pair of singles and a strikeout. Rolled foul. Sam Mejias in the first base coaching box. Sam Palazzo on the lines at third for Lou Piniella. He didn't need the extended postseason to get there. In just 7 games, he's cleared the wall 6 times.
You know, I thought tonight against Nagy, and with the type of stuff that Nagy throws, if he made a mistake on Griffey, got a breaking ball up and around from the middle to the inside up, that Griffey might take him deep. But he's really pitched him well so far. The off-speed stuff is down low and inside. And again, Griffey's last time up in the 6th inning when he called him out on a 3rd strike, that being Rick Reed, it was a pitch off the outside corner, right around the outside, a change of pace.
2-1 to Junior. You said before this game you wanted to bet somebody that Nagy would strike out as many as Johnson. What kind of odds do you think you could have gotten?
You're right. Absolutely.
They each have 6.
Here's what I was talking about a minute ago, Bob. That low inside breaking ball on Griffey. Junior had a couple of hits his first 2 times up, a single to center in the opening inning. Then singled and scored on an error in the 3rd. There's that last breaking ball down low and inside, and this crowd coming alive here in Cleveland, as they did in Seattle. They're on their feet.
The 2-2 pitch. Full count to Griffey. Alomar held it there, trying to coax Rick Reed into the call.
Yeah, Nagy wanted that one. A very close pitch on the inside corner. After throwing the off-speed stuff, he comes with a fastball and just missed.
And the payoff. A little bouncer. It stays fair. You saw the indication from Dale Ford, and Perry makes the unassisted putout to the bottom of the 8th. Still 2-1. Alvaro Espinosa on deck as we start the bottom of the 8th, which brings us to the MCI Proof Positive replay of the game. And don't tell Espinosa that Friday the 13th isn't unlucky. He finally gets his chance to play. He boots this ground ball off Edgar Martinez's bat in the 3rd inning. A man was at 3rd with 2 outs. An unearned run is allowed in on that play, and that's the difference in the game. It made it 2-0. The Indians have since come back with a run. They're within 2-1 as they bat here in the 8th, and Alomar rolls 1 foul.
You know, in all fairness to Espinosa, that ball took a funny little hop on him. As he went to field it, took a little hop on him and ate him up, rolled up his arm. Mikey has pretty well dueled Johnson on equal terms. Here's a soft fly ball on the right. Buhner coming on, and he makes the catch. Quickly, we check with Hannah Storm. Go, Hannah.
Well, Bob, Chipper Jones with a man on, bottom of the 7th, facing reliever Xavier Hernandez. And Jones with a 2-run home run. His 3rd homer of the postseason, his 3rd hit of the night. The Braves are up 5-0, and they got to be thinking sweep at this point, Bob.
Meanwhile, the Mariners are thinking of taking the same lead in the series as they have in this game, 2-1, and assuring themselves of a flight back to Seattle, not to gather their belongings for the offseason, but to keep on playing. That's the least they'll be assured of if Johnson holds on to this lead. Espinosa struck out and singled. Right field Buhner a few steps back to the edge of the track. The ball really carrying, and it fooled him. Espinosa's heading for second, and he slowed up at first base. Watching that play, we'll have to see how they score it. There's a crosswind, at least there has been most of the night, and maybe that turned this into a tricky play for Buhner.
Oh, it really fooled him, Bob. I mean, a ball hit fairly well by Espinosa. That ball really fooled Buhner, backpedaling, and then the ball over his head, and Espinosa winds up at second. Espinosa thinking that the ball was going to be caught. Winds up at second. I don't know if he could have made it to third or not. He probably could have had he been blown all the way. But he may leave here for a pinch runner and will.
Here comes Wayne Kirby to run for him. Fourth outfielder, veteran bench player. I'm looking at the flags, and the wind occasionally kicks up. It appeared calm, though, a moment ago when Buhner misplayed the ball.
Yeah, I think Espinosa just hit the ball better than Buhner thought he did.
Now Lofton. 1 for 3. That hit was a triple. He scored the Indians' only run.
Big break for the Indians here, down by 1 in the 8th on a ball that should have been caught. Ought to be 2 outs and nobody on.
Vizquela's on deck. That one's in there.
Boy, he's got Lofton bailing. I mean, you can watch Kenny's front foot, Bob, and I mean, no matter how hard you try to stay in there sometimes, I mean, this guy is intimidating when he comes with that 3/4 sidearm style breaking ball against you. Lofton hit a high fastball for the triple back in the 4th.
And this one is slashed to the hole for a base hit. Kirby around third. Coleman charging. There'll be no play at the plate. The game is tied. Buhner knows it shouldn't be that way, and his expression in right field tells you that.
And a great move by Mike Hargrove with Soho, I should say, with the runner Espinosa at second. After the miscue by Buhner, he pinch runs Kirby, and here's a high breaking ball. That was a bad breaking ball from Johnson. And Kenny Lofton, the only left-handed batter, strictly left-handed batter in this Indian lineup tonight, comes through with a base hit to score the tying run.
And where you saw Blowers playing tells you why speed helps your batting average. It isn't just the infield hits and the bunts. He has to be close at third base, and a ball that might have been playable if he were back further. The runner is going, and here's Wilson's throw, and sliding in headlong is Kenny Lofton with his first steal of this series. He's led the league in steals 4 consecutive years. He's swiped 54 this year. He's been nursing a sore left hamstring, but we saw him go full throttle for the triple earlier, and he steals a base here. And just to finish up the thought, respecting his speed, Blowers was in close, and that allows the base hit when Kenny slashed it to left.
Well, I talked to him earlier, and in talking about his ability to run, is he 100%? He said, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to go. And an easy steal of second against the big left-hander, Randy Johnson.
despite this throw. Not a bad throw from Dan Wilson. And don't be surprised if Lofton tries for third. There's only one out. And a run in here in the 8th inning. You know, back in the 7th, Wilson made a heck of a throw to cut down Herbert Perry on a steal attempt to end that inning. Lofton just outran it that time and had a good jump against Randy Johnson. Don't be surprised if he goes for third. Soho trying to keep him close out at second. Nothing doing in the Seattle bullpen. Tied here at 2 and the big unit on.
With the exception of Charlton, Piniella doesn't have nearly the confidence in his pen that Hargrove has in his. Throwing behind, and Lofton dives in. Ball and a strike to Vizquel.
Watch the lead that Lofton gets at second. And Soho trying to keep him close out there. Look where he is. He's a good 10 to 15 feet off the bag.
He tries to bunt again. Wilson off with the mask and makes the play. Meanwhile, what that does, although Vizquel couldn't take advantage of it, it scrambles your whole infield and creates all kinds of holes for the hitter. Welcome those of you watching Atlanta, Cincinnati. Bob Costas, Bob Uecker at Jacobs Field in Cleveland. Randy Johnson had a 2-0 lead. The Indians have come back on him. A run in the 4th and a run here in the 8th on a 2-base error in right field by Jay Buhner and an RBI single by that man Kenny Lofton, who then proceeded to steal second. Now the hitter is Carlos Baerga.
Okay, I question that last play by Vizquel, Bob. 1 out. 8th inning, and you got a guy like Lofton at second. And again, in trying to bunt, I think you got to take a whack and try to knock him in. I really do. I mean, Vizquel's had a heck of a year. He's done well offensively. He's done everything you could ask for defensively. I think you got to go. You got to try to hit the ball. You got to try and knock in the run, man. That's a big run.
And bunting for the hit, obviously, not the sacrifice with 1 out.
Yep.
Tried it twice, as a matter of fact.
I think you got to go, man. I really do. I think you got to try and knock him in. You can't put all the heat on Baerga.
And Johnson steps off.
Baerga singled back in the 4th and 1 through 3. There's Lofton out at second.
While we have a chance, Wilson going to the mound to talk to Johnson. For those of you who are watching the Braves and the Reds, here's the way this inning is developed. With 1 out, Alvaro Espinosa skies one to right. Buhner thinks he's got it lined up, and then the ball sails on him just off the edge of his glove for what was ruled a 2-base error. Then Wayne Kirby ran for Espinosa at second, and Lofton lined a single past the diving Blowers at third base and into left field. Kirby scored easily to tie the game. After Lofton stole second with 1 out, Vizquel tried to bunt and fouled out. Now it's Baerga. The 1-0 pitch from Johnson. Ground ball to Soho. A long throw is in time. On to the 9th at Jacobs Field. Mariners 2, Indians 2. With the score tied, Mike Hargrove goes to Jose Mesa in the 9th. It's only the 6th time he has pitched this year when the team was not ahead. 46 or 48, easily the best in baseball. With an ERA, it's just microscopic. 1.13. And generally, they would only use him with a lead. But here, in the playoffs, in the 9th inning, and with Bell, Murray, and Ramirez, the scheduled hitters in the bottom half, Hargrove will ask Mesa to hold the Mariners in check and give his team a chance to win it in the 9th. Espinosa's out of the game. They ran for him in the bottom of the 8th. There's Jim Thome in at third base. Martinez to the plate. Swings at the first pitch. Backhanded play by Baerga from the outfield grass. He keeps Edgar Martinez hitless both tonight and in the series. This 1995 League Championship Series game is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Gillette Sensor XL and the Gillette Series. Gillette, the best a man can get. And Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers. Edgar Martinez picked a very bad time, if in fact he picked it rather than Indian pitching inflicting it upon him, to have his longest hitless streak of the year. He's now 0 for his last 10. During the regular season, never longer than 0 for 8. A strike to Tino Martinez.
And Seattle here going to have to turn it up a notch or two against the right-hander Jose Mesa. After seeing all of the off-speed stuff from Charles Nagy, a lot of breaking stuff, now it's heat. Good fastball and a very good slider.
There's the two-seam fastball that he added this year to the four-seamer. The two-seamer with the sinking action really gave him another dimension.
That's a diving-type pitch, a sinking-type fastball. A four-seamer is the rider that'll jump up on you very quick-like because he throws so very hard. Edgar Martinez, as did Manny Ramirez, took a 1 for 12 or 1 for 13, 0 for 13 before he finally came up with a base hit, then has the 4 for 4 game in Game 2 in Seattle.
The 1-2 pitch, and he hangs in. The outfield defense did not help Johnson tonight. Kenny Lofton hit a ball to left field that Vince Coleman had to go back on. It would have been a good play, but it was a play he would generally make. He didn't come up with it. It was ruled a triple. That led to the first run. Then the tying run on the ball you saw a moment ago that Buhner couldn't handle. That one was scored an error. Hit hard and foul, and it holds at 1-2.
And on the other side, a blown ground ball by Alvaro Espinosa on a little tapper hit by Edgar Martinez back in the third. Led to the second run. There's Espinosa out of the game. The pinch runner.
Another 1-2 pitch. And another foul ball. Jose Mesa had 2 career saves prior to this year. He'd been a starter in the Oriole organization. They make him into their stopper, and he was baseball's best this year.
There's a slider down low and inside in the dirt, backhanded by Alomar. You know, it's ironic, Bob, when you look at a guy like this. I mean, it's happened to other pitchers, too. Those guys who can give you 5 good innings at the start of a game as a starter, and all of a sudden fade real quick like. And why not go the other way and turn him into a short man or a saver or closer, whichever way you want to look at it. And that's what they did with Mesa. And, I mean, he's been excellent. It's funny. We were here the night that his string was broken on the home run by Chad Curtis in the ninth inning. With him trying to save it, they go on to win on a home run by Sandy Alomar next inning.
Both of his blown saves this year came against the Tigers. Up the middle, Baerga can't flag this one down. And it's a one-out single for Tino Martinez, his first hit of the night. John Hart, the outstanding general manager of the Indians, who has done such a brilliant job of piecing this team together, went looking for a premier closer in the offseason. And it was only when he came up empty, couldn't make the deal he wanted, that they turned to Jose Mesa, who in today's baseball is a relative bargain at just $850,000 a year. It'll cost them more than that in '96.
I would think so, and he's earned it. He's earned it.
Now Buhner, who earlier might have worn the hero's laurels for a long home run off Charles Nagy, but now is looking to atone for his error a half inning ago. Here's a look at the play while we have a chance. A different angle, our producer John Gonzalez and director Andy Rosenberg tell us.
Well, the routine fly ball off the bat of Espinosa was hit fairly well, but only to the warning track. Buhner backpedaling, misplayed it for an error, and they get a run to tie it at 2.
1-0 pitch. Mesa has it. And a double play. A ball that might have put a hole in his chest. Instead, he puts a dent in the Mariners' hopes. The Indians now with a chance to win it. Controls of the Goodyear Blimp Spirit is Captain Mark Kynette and cameraman Richard Morkel. Our thanks to them. Randy Johnson stays in there to the ninth. At least he was taking his warm-ups, and here comes Lou Piniella. Johnson threw 6 complete games, but he won't
hit one tonight. Great job by Randy Johnson tonight. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that performance, I'll guarantee you that. Norm Charlton is coming in from the Seattle bullpen. But again, both of these clubs, Bob, with a run unearned to keep one or the other. Mariners first in the lead with an unearned run. And then Cleveland comes back on the misplayed fly ball by Buhner. They pick up an unearned run against Randy Johnson, who leaves the game, but a great effort. I like this move, I really do. You know, I think in looking at what Pinella's doing here tonight, he told us before the game that Charlton was ready. There was no problem with Norm Charlton, but to leave a guy in a game, Johnson may be losing just a little bit. He's pitched a great game here tonight. To leave him in there and take a chance on maybe losing a game, I like this move, I really do. As Charlton gets ready, we send things over to Jim Gray. Jim.
All right, Bob. Lou Piniella, I don't think he wanted Randy Johnson to go out, and Johnson was not expecting to come out here in the 9th inning. He had to summons him from the back of the clubhouse and told him to go on out. Piniella was having trouble getting anybody out in the bullpen to pick up the telephone, so he told him just go out there and throw a few pitches, and I'll come and get you before we start. Bob?
Well, he bought some time, and now Charlton comes on. He'll face 3 right-handed hitters, Bell, Murray, the switch hitter from the right side, and then Ramirez, all of them capable of ending the game with one swing. The real story of this game is the work of Charles Nagy. As we said at the beginning, Mike Hargrove probably would have been content if Nagy could have gone 6 or maybe 7 strong innings and kept them close. He yielded 2 runs. One of them was unearned, as you said, Hugh. The other came on a Buhner home run. And he pitched as well, every bit as well, as Randy Johnson tonight. Oh, absolutely. I don't take anything away from Charles Nagy, and we said that at the top of the telecast, Bob, that he's very capable of keeping you in a ball game and winning a big ball game for you, and that's just what he did for the Indians here tonight. Listen to this. Johnson goes 8 innings, allows 2 runs, 1 of them earned, 4 hits, strikes out 6. Nagy went 8 innings, 2 runs, 1 of them earned, 5 hits in 8 innings. He struck out 6. Virtually identical. Yep. Great effort by both guys tonight. Refuse to lose is, of course, the Mariners slogan. They try to turn it around here in Cleveland. Albert Bell in the bottom of the 9th and a called strike. Randy Johnson threw exactly 100 pitches. They would use him in Game 6 on 3 days rest, Tuesday in Seattle, if they're trailing in the series, 3 games to 2. Bell was 0 for 3 against Johnson. Bouncing ball foul. Asked Jeff Newman in the third base coaching box. Now again, in removing Randy Johnson and going to their main man now is in Charlton for the last month and a half of the season or so. It was Bobby Ayala who started out as the Mariners closer, and he failed. Manella went to this guy, Norm Charlton, and he has been unbelievable. He's been outstanding. The 0-2 to Albert. Excuse me, Bob. And Bell hit by a pitch. I'm just going to say, Charlton's got a great splitter, and he hits Bell with a fastball here. The Indians have the lead run, winning run on. Nobody out. Hit him with an 0-2 pitch. That'll make you grind your teeth. I thought he might throw a split-fingered fastball here. I don't know if that was or not, but it was a fastball and got Bell in the right foot. And Albert Bell taking a little extra time at first. Yeah, you're right. Low inside fastball nails Albert Bell. Again, you don't want to leave anything out over the plate for this guy either. Albert Bell telling the first base umpire, Dale Ford, he checked him and said, I'm all right, I'm ready. Eddie Murray, 0 for 3, 2 for 13 in the series.
but throughout his illustrious career, one of the toughest late-inning clutch situation outs in all of baseball. Down and in, ball one.
Norm Charlton with that split-fingered fastball down low and inside on Eddie Murray. Here's another guy following surgery that has almost come back to what he was prior to the surgery. His fastball is coming back, and he's got that good splitter. His 1-0 pitch, and Eddie fouls it back. We're in the ninth. Tied at 2, game 3, series even at 1. Bell at first, nobody out. Murray at the plate. Ramirez on deck. Norm Charlton started the year in Philadelphia, floundering there, released, picked up by the Mariners, becomes their closer. Probably would not have found a home in Seattle had he not been one of the nasty boys for Lou Piniella in the World Championship season of 1990 in Cincinnati, coming out of that pen with Rob Dibble and Randy Myers. I asked Piniella about all three, and he said this guy was the nastiest of the three. Hardest thrower, and had that great splitter.
The 1-2 pitch. Double play ball to short. Soho to Cora. They don't turn it. Cora, who is one of the very best at getting rid of the ball on the pivot, and had time with Murray, who was not fast, especially coming out of the box to the right side, might have felt Bell bearing down on him. Albert was trying to take him out, and Joey never got rid of the throw.
I'll tell you, Albert Bell was right there. And glad hands for Bell as he comes back to the dugout. Murray reached out and pulled that outside offering. There's a good throw by Soho. And again, he had a chance to get rid of that ball, but Albert Bell right on him. And they don't turn it. So again, the Seattle infield. Again, Albert Bell right there on him. Hustling all the way. Fails to turn a key double play or in a double play situation. Anyway, you can't anticipate it. And Bell put Cora up into the air, and Murray reaches.
If he gets rid of that throw, and the throw is true, Murray's out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
A lot of fans have asked about the pins that Cora wears on either side of the Mariner insignia on his cap. One is a rooster. His nickname is the Rooster. There it is. And the other is a Puerto Rican flag. I believe gallo is the Spanish word for rooster.
Or hen.
Ramirez. Strike one to Manny.
This is that Norm Charlton splitter. Down low in the dirt, saved by Wilson. And the strike on Ramirez.
Manny 4 for 4 with 2 homers in Game 2 at the Kingdome. 0 for 3 tonight. 308 with 31 homers during the regular year. Outside 1-1. Eddie Murray, no threat at all to be on the move from first base. Tony Pena with some signals that mean nothing except get a hit and send us home.
That's about it.
Lee Elia, former Cub and Philly manager, alongside Lou Piniella. Herbert Perry would be next. Low 2-1.
Ramirez trying to stay back, trying to lay off that low splitter. Murray again at first, tried to pull that pitch. With the force at second, Charlton. 2 balls and a strikeout. Good ball game here to open up this 3-game series. Veteran Eddie Murray at first.
Outfield straight away for Ramirez, very deep in left and center. 3 balls and a strike.
Well, to follow Ramirez, it's going to be Herbert Perry. And do we see Sorrento then or not for the Indians?
An
Lucius Albert Bell, who gave them a chance. Hershiser with Charlie Manuel, the hitting coach. If they make the World Series, Arl will get to grab a bat. Maybe he needs some tips. He was always a good hitting pitcher in the National League.
And I got ahead of myself there with Charlton and Sorrento.
Only if they switch to a right hand.
Right hand.
Sorrento comes into play. The fans booing because they know that's a waste of time.
They might be
going nowhere.
what I said.
Ramirez felt that Charlton made him wait too long. Ramirez hit .410. 7 of 31 homers is one thing. He hit .410 against left-handers this year.
And Wilson out now to talk with Charlton. Missing down low with the splitter and trying to give Ramirez the chase. And to get back to what I was saying earlier with Sorrento, Bob, I thought, again, I saw a right-hander up in the bullpen out there. That's my mistake. Nothing doing. There's Paul Sorrento in case.
The Indians have, as right-handed hitters, only Tony Pena and the switch-hitting reserve Ruben Amaro available to Hargrove. Sorrento, his only remaining left-handed hitter. We're in the ninth. The 3-1 pitch. Fouled off. And now here's an interesting situation. Murray does not run well.
I run him.
But if only to stay out of the double play, maybe he takes off.
I run him. Tony Pena, Espinosa, who started tonight's game at third. I run him. Just make sure he throws to the plate. There's nothing wrong with sending a guy like Murray in this situation.
If Ramirez strikes out, as he is prone to do, it's an almost certain strikeout throwout. Ramirez fanned 112 times in the regular season. Not going. And now he can trot to second base on the walk. A hit batter, a potential double play ball, and it wasn't turned, and a walk. Could be turning into a nightmare inning for Lou Piniella.
Yep.
There goes Ruben Amaro, who's going to run from Murray at second base, and if the game continues, he'd assume the DH's spot. He is the son of the former Phillies shortstop, Ruben Amaro. Welcome again to those of you watching the Braves and Reds. Back at Jacobs Field, bottom of the ninth. The Indians, with 2 men on and 1 out, a hit batter and a walk, have given them a chance to win the game. The rookie Herbert Perry, 0 for 2 with a walk, facing Norm Charlton, who relieved Randy Johnson at the start of this inning. And a called strike one. Perry hit .315 for the year with 3 home runs. Each team has an unearned run tonight.
Many in this crowd of 43,000 plus on their feet here in the Indian Ninth.
He's quickly ahead of Perry, 0-2. Sandy Alomar Jr. on deck. And he got him swinging with the splitter.
Well, he threw him 3, 2 for strikes, call strikes, and then comes with that nasty splitter down low. Perry chases. Here it is one more time. There's a nasty splitter by Charlton to get the strikeout and a big one.
Big strikeout for Charlton. They're all big in this game. It's up to the bullpens now.
Sandy Alomar Jr. rolls one to third. Flowers has it across the diamond and on to the 10th. The game in the hands of Mesa if they let him work another inning, and Charlton. As you see, Jose Mesa did not remove the jacket. He remains in the dugout. Mike Hargrove did something similar to this in Game 1 of the division series against the Red Sox. He let him pitch the 10th with the score obviously tied here at Jacobs Field and hoped that he could get him through that inning, and then maybe they'd win it in the bottom half. When they didn't, he wouldn't let him pitch a second inning. Only twice this year has he thrown more than one inning. And Hargrove doesn't want to blow him out. At this stage, it's a longer, more protracted postseason than it's ever been if you expect to go all the way. And that's the Indians' objective. Obviously, it's any team's objective once they get in, but this is a team that had a reasonable chance to do it, that had to believe they had a great chance to do it, going 144 over the course of the year.
Yeah, and a big comeback again tonight for the Indians after being down early in this game to Randy Johnson, 2-0. After 3, they finally got on the board in the 4th inning, but I mean, when you're up against a guy like Johnson and you're down 2-0, things are not looking all that well, but they battled back. And again, the unearned run to tie it in the 8th inning, tied at 2 here as we start the 10th.
Couple of changes. With Flowers a right-handed hitter due, they go to Alex Diaz as the pinch hitter. He's had one at-bat without a hit, and Flowers departs. And Julian Tavares comes out of the bullpen, youngster from the Dominican Republic. Ball one high and away. The 1-0 pitch, hit right at Baerga, off his chest. He has time to recover. Stayed with it and got it. That'll bring up Soho with Wilson, the catcher, next. Welcome again to those of you watching the game from Atlanta. Bob Costas and Bob Uecker back at Jacobs Field, top of the 10th. Nagy started. Mesa worked an inning after Nagy was brilliant for 8, and now it's Tavares in the 10th. The Cleveland Indians, counting the 13-inning game they won against the Red Sox to start the playoffs, are 14-0 in extra innings this year. They have never lost an extra inning game. 1-1. They have also won more games in their last at-bat than any team in the major leagues.
Here's tonight's starter, Charles Nagy, who worked a strong 8 innings, allowed 2 runs, only 1 earned on 6 hits, and struck out 6 tonight. It's a heck of a game. Another hard throw out of the Indians' bullpen, Julian Tavares. You get about the same thing from him that you get from Mesa, who worked the 9th. Heat.
Tavares in the 94 range. There's a hard liner for a base hit by Soho. His second hit of the night. With Albert Bell firing it back in. Mesa's up around 98. Tavares in the mid-90s. And now Lou Piniella. There's Mesa once more. Held the Mariners in check, and his team put 2 men on at the bottom of the 9th. But they couldn't score. Piniella to his bench once more for Doug Strange to pinch hit. Well, on Friday the 13th, it would be appropriate if someone named Strange did something big.
Well, he did something big in that Texas-Seattle series up at the Kingdome, Bob. Hit the big home run against the Rangers to tie the game, and then in the 12th inning, got a base hit and eventually scored the winning run in the game that the Rangers had the lead in. Only to have Strange hit the 2-run homer to tie it. He eventually scores the winning run in 12 innings.
.313 as a pinch hitter this year.
A man at first and one down in the 10th. It's a good thing the former Indian Chico Simone isn't around. Remember him, the infielder?
Sure, absolutely.
Friday the 13th would scare him out of his wits. He was literally afraid of ghosts. Used to stick wads of gum in the keyhole in his hotel room so that the evil spirits couldn't slither through.
Yep.
Put a towel along the bottom of the door. 0-2.
Chico Simone.
Back in the days of Chico Simone, Max Alvis, when you could come see the Indians at Municipal Stadium and stretch out among the empty seats. Strange batting for Wilson, the catcher, with Coleman on deck. And he pops one into right field, a lazy fly ball that Manny Ramirez tucks away for the second out.
Lazy fly ball off the bat of Doug Strange. He got under a Tavares fastball and goes out on a routine fly.
Coleman 0 for 4, as you see, and 1 for 12 in this series. Soho at first. 2 gone in the 10th. And ball 1 to Vince. Coleman deemed expendable by the Royals. Youngsters like Johnny Damon and Michael Tucker in the Royal outfield allowed them to trade him to Seattle, and he really sparked Seattle the last couple of months. Big cut and a miss.
Now the Mariners in dire need of a leadoff man. They looked for one for a long, long time, and Pinella said when this guy became available, there you see that swing at a fastball from Tavares. When he became available, they grabbed him. He's done well. He's really been a spark for Seattle.
Tavares brings it home on 1-1. A bouncing ball that Baerga takes and goes to the bag himself. And we go to the bottom of the 10th. Tied at 2. Back after this from your local station. Multiple changes for Lou Piniella. Either dressed for Friday the 13th or an early jump on Halloween. Some of the fans here at Jacobs Field. Chris Widger is the catcher. They hit for Wilson in the top half of the 10th. Alex Diaz is in left field. Coleman is out of the game. And Doug Strange is in for Blowers at third. Diaz hits 7th. Strange hits 9th. The places they assumed as pinch hitters. And Widger, the new catcher, hits first. Coleman having made the last out in the 10th. Here's Tomey for his first at-bat. Hit .314 with 25 homers for the year. Charlton, his second inning of work. And he falls behind the first hitter 2-0.
Well, you got to wonder with Lou Piniella and Norm Charlton, Bob. On the other side, Hargrove uses Mesa for an inning only. And now Charlton, and this is the main man for Seattle in his second inning of work here tonight. What's he going to do the rest of the series?
Off his fist, a little pop wide of third, and coming on, it's Strange. Did he hold that ball? He did. A terrific play by Doug Strange just into the game.
Boy, what an outstanding play by Doug Strange. A long run and now a backhanded sliding catch. And a beauty. He didn't know if he had the ball or not. Tough play on that on the warning track here, which is a cork type or rubber type warning track. He had to look to see if that ball was still in his glove with a beautiful backhanded sliding catch. What a play by Strange. There's the home plate umpire, a hustling Rick Reed right there to make the call.
Now it's Kenny Lofton, 2 for 4. Takes a strike, bluffing a bunt. Tripled and scored, and singled home the tying run.
Carlton's 0-1 pitch. Right through the legs of Dave Nelson, the first base coach for the Indians. I know you're going to hustle back to the hotel because after late local news, Jay Leno.
You got it, buddy.
Guest tonight, Conan O'Brien.
And?
A double night at Conan, his own show, and guesting with Jay and Boy George.
All right. All right. We'll make it. We'll be there.
Still fuming about the fact that he hasn't been inducted yet into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame down the street here. The 0-2 pitch to Lofton. Moves him away.
You know, that's the kind of a pitch that I thought Johnson might go to back in the 8th inning when Lofton hit the breaking ball for a single in the left, driving in the run. He had thrown him away, breaking stuff away, and Kenny leaning out and trying to foul those balls.
That just froze him, you.
Yep.
He couldn't pull the trigger on it.
I'm saying, every once in a while, I mean, the pitch high inside, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not talking about maiming anybody. I'm just talking about keeping guys honest and keeping guys from reaching out and poking out pitches on the outside corner of the opposite field. There's that high inside fastball from Charlton to move Lofton away. And then picks up the strikeout.
Yeah, it may have set up the 1-2 pitch as he got him looking. Here's Vizquel.
I'll tell you what, Lofton tonight, again, the only left-handed batter in this Indian lineup against Randy Johnson. Tomey and Sorrento both sat as far as the starting lineup goes.
Vizquel is 0 for 3 with a sacrifice fly. He hit 6 home runs during the regular season, in which he hit 266. 2 out, nobody on, bottom of the 10th. Center field, Ken Griffey Jr. On to the 11th at Jacobs Field. On to the 11th, Cora, Griffey, and Edgar Martinez. Julian Tavares for a second inning of work. Well, it wasn't long ago that Joey Cora started a huge rally in the 11th inning for Seattle. Situation was more desperate then. Game 5 against the Yankees. Bottom of the 11th at the Kingdome, down a run instead of tied. Executes a beautiful drag bunt. He had worked the count to 2-1, and the right side of the infield moved back a little bit. He said he was watching for that, and when they took a step back, he dragged a bunt. Don Mattingly almost made a great play on it, but Cora beat it out. Here he hits one softly into right center, and it falls for a base hit. In the 11th inning of that game, after Cora reached to start the inning, Griffey singled, Edgar Martinez doubled him home. Griffey stepping up now with Edgar next. Hargrove has Assenmacher, a left-hander, and Eric Plunk, the right-hander. They've both been throwing long enough to be ready. And now we get into the middle of that order that we talked about earlier. Left, right, all of them dangerous. Griffey, Edgar Martinez, Tino Martinez, then back to a right-handed hitter in Jay Buhner. Few bullpens are deep enough to cope with that. Hargrove has already used Mesa, though, remember, so he's a little bit depleted.
But that's what he told us as Paul Assenmacher comes in now from the Indian bullpen. And even talking with Lou Piniella tonight, he said it's a great luxury for a guy to have that kind of a bullpen where you can go right, left, depending on who your hitter is. And that's what Hargrove has done here tonight. Makes a change for the 3rd time. It's Mesa Tavares. And now the left-hander Paul Assenmacher to face left-handed batting Ken Griffey. That's been a good ball game tonight, Bob. 2 great efforts by Randy Johnson and Charles Nagy. Nagy with 6 strikeouts, matching Randy Johnson tonight, both working 8 innings, as you said before, and matched each other almost pitch for pitch, inning for inning. And a couple of unearned runs are the difference in this game. The Indians finally tying the game in the 8th inning on an unearned run on a little fly ball hit to Buhner in right that he misplayed.
As Assenmacher takes the ball from Hargrove, we tell you that we'll take you to the gridiron on Sunday. Bill Parcells and his New England Patriots had high hopes for this season. Hasn't worked out that way so far. You'll be seeing them on Sunday. Patriot Problems. Broken Dreams is what we're calling it. That's part of the pregame show at 12:30 Eastern.
And then the kickoffs at 1 Eastern Time.
Are these guys tight or what?
Now, just hoping the bubble doesn't burst. It had to be said here in the 11th.
Well, I think you close your right eye when you pitch to Griffey, you close your left eye when you pitch to Edgar. Every hitter has holes. Some of them aren't as big as others, but every hitter has holes. I don't care if you're Mickey Mantle or Edgar Martinez or Ken Griffey. And we've identified those as weaknesses, and if we hit our spots and throw our pitches, as we did against Ken Saco and Mo Vaughn, I mean, we really did not make a mistake with either of those guys.
Hargrove on the daunting task of facing Griffey and Edgar Martinez, especially with the game on the line. Well, they each may have holes, but especially in Edgar Martinez's case, it's about as big as a teacup.
Yeah, it's better than a crevasse. And I know.
Paul Ossenmacher has led the major leagues in appearances this decade with a number of clubs. And unlike Tavares and Mesa and Plunk and Alan Embry, a left-hander, he doesn't push the radar gun up into the 90s. He's a finesse guy. And in for just one hitter, the left-hander Ken Griffey Jr.
And with a left-hander up there now, in Ossenmacher working to Griffey. Also keeps that runner at first. Joey Cora a little closer to the bag.
Good pitch, good spot, strike one to Jr.
Griffey's first 2 times up tonight, he had a couple of flare hits, a little single to center and a single to right. Scoring the second run for the Mariners back in the third to make it a 2-0 game at that time.
Lifts one to center. Lofton is there for the first out. Ossenmacher walking back toward the mound, and let's see if he gets to face Edgar Martinez. Here comes Hargrove.
Boy, how many times have we seen this with the Indians this year? And just as Hargrove said, here comes Eric Plunk. And what a luxury. I mean, really, what a luxury for a club like the Indians to be able to do this.
Ossenmacher threw 2 pitches, got the job done, retired Griffey. We'll be right back. By way of review, Jay Buhner has been at the heart of this game, both good and bad. Let's go back to his first at-bat against Charles Nagy, a guy he has simply owned. This is the 3rd homer he's hit off Nagy this year, a leadoff shot in the 2nd. That made it 1-0. Eventually, they led 2-0. It was down to 2-1 when in the 8th, Espinoza hit one toward Buhner and right, a play he should have made. He misjudged it. It went as a 2-base error. And eventually, that runner scored on a single by Kenny Lofton to tie the game at 2. Now, Eric Plunk, 32-year-old right-hander, comes out of the bullpen. He's been with the A's, the Yankees, and now the Indians.
Here's a guy, another hard thrower for the Indians. And normally he's the setup guy for Jose Mesa. This is the guy you normally see for the Indians in the 8th inning. But tonight it's a reversal of roles. Mesa has already worked in the game. There he is. He worked the 9th. And made a heck of a play on a liner hit by Jay Buhner. With a runner aboard, Buhner hit a bullet right back at him, and he turned it into a double play to get out of that inning. And that was the end for Mesa. There's Tavares. He's worked tonight. Ossenmacher, the one-hitter. And now Eric Plunk. Another hard thrower with a good breaking ball. Well, they got some heat coming out of this Indian bullpen. You look at Mesa, Tavares, Ossenmacher, as you said, breaking ball pitcher, finesse type. But this guy, another guy that throws very hard.
And with Tino Martinez, a left-handed hitter due next, Jim Poole, another left-hander, is up and throwing in Mike Hargrove's bullpen. The problem, though, that
Seattle presents is that after Tino Martinez, they go back to another dangerous right-handed hitter in Buhner. Edgar Martinez, 0 for 4, robbed of a hit on a nice backhanded play by Baerga his last time up. 0 for 10 in this series.
And Martinez in tonight's game has really had problems. I mean, they've stayed away from him all night long. Nagy starts him off tonight with breaking stuff down low and away. They didn't show him anything inside that he could pull. A tough evening, including a strikeout. Knocked in the run. A little bouncer back in the third that put the Indians up 2-0 on an error charge to Alvaro Espinosa at third.
Cora, the runner at first, stole 18 and was caught 7 times. Plunk to Martinez. Pops it up on the infield. Perry down from first wants it. For those who have been watching the Atlanta-Cincinnati game, you may not have heard us say this earlier. I know that the Cleveland-Seattle audience is more than familiar with it. He had never gone longer than 8 at-bats or longer than 2 consecutive games at any time this year. American League batting champion at .356 without a hit. He's hitless in this series and 0 for 11 overall.
And it's not that he hasn't had some decent pitches to hit tonight. I mean, every time he's been up there, he's had a ball that he can drive someplace. A couple of pop-ups tonight. He's reached on an error, strikeout, a little ground ball. Baerga made a nice play on him back in the 9th on a sharply hit ground ball, but other than that, he's had a tough evening.
They're going to let Plunk stay in against the left-hander Tino Martinez. High and away for a ball. Now, in the bottom of the 11th, Baerga, Bell, and Ruben Amaro, who now occupies the DH spot instead of Eddie Murray after they went with a pinch runner for Eddie. Off-speed pitch drops in there for a strike.
There's the breaking ball from Plunk. The strike, and you know, Bob, depending on what the Piniella does in the bottom half of the 11th inning, pitching-wise, we may see a pinch hitter in that inning, or Amaro even.
2-1. Well, Charlton has worked 2 innings. Piniella letting his stopper go at least 1 inning beyond what Hargrove was willing to ask of his #1 guy, Mesa, who pitched just the top of the 9th and then left. There goes Cora. Here comes the throw from Alomar. Not in time. So Cora gets himself into scoring position as the count runs out to 3-1 on Tino Martinez.
Pretty nice play by Alomar on a tough pitch to handle. That ball was in the dirt. He dug it on a short hop. And this is not a bad throw at all with Vizquel covering and Joey Cora in there just beating the throw. He had a good jump against Plunk and steals second.
And now as we come back live, they're just going to complete the walk. They give him ball 4 on the 3-1 pitch intentionally. And they'll take their chances with Buhner. After the homer, he grounded out, struck out, and lined into a double play, sending a bullet back at Mesa. And somehow he got his glove up right at the letters, made the stab, and caught the runner off first.
Yeah, what a play by Mesa. A bullet, as you said, hit right back at him.
2 on, 2 out, and Buhner takes his stride.
Well, the outfield for Buhner. Bell again playing well off the line and left. They're not playing him as a pull hitter by any means. He's actually bunching on Lofton in center, who shades slightly in the right center. And then Ramirez a good 80 feet off the line and right. Both lines wide open for Buhner.
For his career against Plunk, Buhner 5 for 15, 1 of the 5 hits a homer. A drive to right center field. Ramirez going back, but all he can do is watch. It's gone for Buhner's second home run of the night. This one a 3-run shot. He puts the error in right field behind him, and he puts the Indians behind by 3 in the top half of the 11th.
What a redeemer for Buhner. Fastball around the outside corner. and he goes right with it. You know, earlier in the game, Bob, and in talking tonight about Buhner with Lou Piniella and some of the other Mariner players, he's got the kind of power that he can take you deep the other way. I mean, he's not the kind of a guy who's going to hit you to left field or left center all the time. He can take you deep to right center. And when that ball was hit, Lofton just turned around and watched it go. He knew as soon as it was hit, it was out of here.
Now Diaz cuts and misses. Well, Ken Griffey Jr. may be the best all-round player in baseball. Edgar Martinez won the batting title. But Jay Buhner, with his 40 home runs in the regular season, has really been the guy who has hammered the Cleveland Indians. He has 2 homers in this game, 3 in the series already. He hit one in the 9th inning of Game 2 off Mason. 5 in the regular season against Cleveland. So 8 all told. And that's 8 in 12 games, because with the shortened season, they only met 9 times in the regular season.
Well, Lou Piniella talked to us earlier tonight, and Mike Hargrove also, about the importance of this game. I mean, if Seattle wins, they get back to the Kingdome tonight. They could finish it here tonight, but they get back at least to the Kingdome. Back with more after this.
The second of 2 homers by Jay Buhner puts the Indians in a spot where they need 3 to tie, and they're going to let Norm Charlton work his 3rd inning. Baerga, Bell, and Amaro in the bottom of the 11th. The Indians have not lost an extra inning game all year. Tapper down to 3rd. Baerga couldn't get out of the box, and Strange throws him out. Tonight's Chevrolet player of the game, barring some last-second reversal, is Jay Buhner. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all players of the game for the 1995 Major League Baseball season.
Now, here it is again, that low outside fastball from Plunk, and as soon as Buhner hit it, he knew. He knew it was gone. Kenny Lofton just turned around and watched it right out of here. And a big 3-run homer for Jay Buhner. Big night for him. Second home run in this game, 4 runs batted in.
Albert Bell hops up on the first pitch into shallow right, and Buhner is there. When this one is over, your link local news in most parts of the country, and then Jay Leno.
I'll be there.
Oh, I know you were a huge Culture Club fan. Culture Club was your band, and so Boy George, guesting on the Leno show, excites you along with Conan O'Brien.
Yes, sir.
Albert was 0 for 4 and hit by a pitch tonight.
Boy, what a big win. If indeed they do finish it up here tonight on top, talking about Seattle. Canelo all fired up before the game tonight, Bob, and talked about how important this game was.
Tomorrow, Andy Bennis against Ken Hill. Game 5 Sunday. Basio against Martinez. Quickly 0-2 to the switch hitter Ruben Amaro Jr. You played with his dad for a while, didn't you?
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
I knew his dad a long time, sure.
Good shortstop.
Shortstop, good shortstop. Very good shortstop. Ruben, a right-handed batter. Ruben, senior. Junior switch hitter.
Hit hard and foul. Jacobs Field suddenly eerily quiet on Friday the 13th. If anybody here walked under a ladder or had a black cat cross its path on the way to Jacobs Field, they regret it now.
What an effort by Norm Charlton here tonight. Working in his 3rd inning.
He reaches for it, he pops it up, and the Seattle Mariners lead the best team in baseball this year, 2-1 after 3 games of the American League Championship Series. We'll turn around and I'll see you tomorrow for Game 4. This was a lot of fun, good ball game. First extra inning game the Indians have lost all year.
Yep. For Bob Uecker, I'm Bob Costas, and for all of us at Jacobs Field in Cleveland, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you tomorrow night.